This ball is pummeled to left field.
That's our guy, Tony Gwynn Jr., as the Padres. Yes, indeed. How about that, everybody? They knock off the Dodgers 15-11.
What?
Today. That was indeed the final score in South Korea, 15-11 Padres. They got a 5-run first. They got a 4-run third, and they finished it up with Manny's 3-run shot there in the ninth. And I don't know how many times I read yesterday on Twitter that Jay Cronenworth absolutely positively must be removed from this team.
I didn't read that.
I did. I read it many times yesterday. I also read that there's no way in hell he should be batting third in this lineup.
They may have a point there.
Well, they don't have a point after today. He was 4 for 4 with 4 RBIs. I'd say he did all right. He had a 2-run triple in the first inning that started the onslaught, and the Padres never trailed in holding off the Blue Crew 15-11. They'll have to recalibrate the Dodgers' 162-win season. It is not going to happen, despite the best efforts of Mookie Betts, who drove in 6 for Los Angeles today.
Will Smith, I think, had 4.
He had 4 hits and drove in a couple. But, look at the Padres. I mean, not only Jake 4 for 4, but Campusano had 3 hits, 2 RBIs.
Your guy.
Jackson Merrill stung the ball again, had 2 hits, his first 2 career hits today.
Tyler Wade
chipped in with 2. Do you want to just do the show?
No, I'm just having fun announcing.
You're just having a fun time? All right.
It's fun.
Fernando and Bogarts also had 2. I'll tell you who looks good at the plate. They all looked good today, but Bogarts is relaxed up there, taking balls back up the middle, nice, easy swings, driving in runs. And look, the Padres, how about this, Skraby? And you may have to go back through every box score from last season. In fact, I may assign you that.
Oh, great.
See if there was a game last year where they had 10 hits with runners in scoring position in one game.
I'm on it.
You don't have to do that. They barely had 10 hits with runners in scoring position all last season. They had 10 hits with runners in scoring position today. Cronenworth was 3 for 3 with runners in scoring position. Campusano had 2 hits with RISP. For the season, the Padres, your Padres, are now 12 for 29 hitting with runners in scoring position. That works out off the top of my head to a 444 batting average with runners in scoring position. That is a early sign that maybe things will be a little bit different in 2024. Feel much better to get that win. There's no question. You did not want to limp home 0-2. And you don't. You come home 1-1. Now you get a few days to rest up, play a couple of exhibition games Monday and Tuesday against the Mariners, and then time to welcome Bob Melvin and company with the Giants next Thursday. But this was all, very, very good today for the Padres. I know Musgrove didn't pitch great. Michael King he got the win, but, they did a little damage against him. But overall, I mean, the Dodgers keep coming. They keep coming. I mean, you look at the Dodgers, they scored in 6 of the 9 innings today. So they were threatening, it seemed like, all game long, but, the Padres kept them at arm's length. And, it's a nice victory. Feel much better with that victory. And Padres are 1-1 coming home. We'll hear from Mike Schilt on the program, some of his post-game comments, and others throughout the day today. 2 things I haven't mentioned yet about the game today. And this is a guess, but it's a very educated guess.
Okay.
Here are the 2 things that Skraby enjoyed most about today's Padre victory.
Was not aware of this?
Well, yes. I guarantee this is one of them. The first one, I don't even have to question. I know you were ecstatic about it. The second one, you may not be as ecstatic. But the first one that I know for a fact you loved today was that your guy, Yoshi Yamamoto, was pounded by the Padres.
Absolutely.
For 4 hits, 1 walk, 5 runs, hit batter in the first inning. It was only by the kindness and grace of Dave Roberts that Yamamoto even made it through the first inning. Dave Roberts wanted to take him out. He thought better of it. He thought, you know what? I don't want to break this guy's confidence in his first game. But you can't stand the fact And a lot of people are with you.
Yeah.
Honestly, you're not alone. But you can't stand the fact that Yamamoto got $300 million before he ever threw a pitch in Major League Baseball.
325.
325 even. Today, he looked like he was worth about $3.25, let alone $325 million. I'm sure he's going to pitch better, nerves, etc. First game, trying to live up to a big contract, but it was fun to see. It was really nice to see the Dodgers money feel a little like it was wasted, at least for today.
Yes, and I also did the calculations last night, Chris.
What'd you come up with?
I tweeted this out earlier. According to SpotTrack, Yamamoto's cash this year is $55 million. Today, that was $1,279,069.77 per pitch.
Per pitch, yeah.
So,
and only 20.
You're right. He's going to play better.
Oh, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. I'm sure he'll have a nice season. But it was nice, at least for one time.
It was validating.
It was a little validating. He threw 43 pitches, only 23 were strikes. He was not good at all. And the Padres just shoved him aside en route to this victory. Here's the other thing that I think you like, Skrabe.
Let me hear it.
And this isn't as, I'm not as sure about this, but I think you liked it. Robert Suarez, a 4-out save.
Also a tweet of mine today.
Also a tweet of yours today.
You're right, Chris.
I'm
you
right.
were spot on because I said,
I knew you would like that.
See a 4-out save from a Padres closer?
See that?
Also got in a...
See that, Josh Hader? It is possible. And I don't think Robert Suarez's arm is ruined for the rest of the season. You know what I mean? He came in, he gave up the RBI single or 2-run single to Betts. But then, look, he had to get through Ohtani, Freeman, Will Smith, Muncy. Got them all.
He did.
And nailed it down. So nice work by Robert Suarez as well.
That.
Yeah, so those are the two things I know you were especially excited about today as the Padres 17 hits, 15 runs. I tweeted this out. I don't know if you caught it, but the last 2 times now that the Padres have scored that many runs, they've had to leave the country to do it. They had 16 runs in a game last year in Mexico City. They had 15, obviously, today. Those are numbers they have not reached on American soil for the last 2 years plus. But they did it.
It's a good fact.
It's a fun fact. It's a fun fact. And at least for one day, right, it quiets everybody that, was screaming after yesterday that this team can't hit, and we've got to add Brandon Belt, and we've got to add Tommy Pham, and we've got to get Cronenworth out of the 3-hole. Look, it was one game, and today's just one game. But the bottom line is, as we learned, you have to take a little time before you come to all of these conclusions.
I know. But can you imagine if they went 0-2 with the week we would have ahead of us?
Right. It would be double what we saw after the first game yesterday, which was not fun at all.
No.
So nicely done by the Padres today. I had one other quick note to throw in there because I know that a lot of people think that by trading Juan Soto away, the Padres would never score a run. You know how many times the Padres scored 15+ when Juan Soto was here?
Maybe once.
Once. In that game at Mexico City.
There you go.
That's the only time they ever scored 15 runs when they had Juan Soto on the team. They got 15 without him today. Are they going to miss him? Sure. But can they score runs? Evidently. Evidently they can. They proved it today.
The 2, 3, 4, 5 hitters also had some
a little
success.
bit better. Yes. 2, 3, 4, 5 hitters yesterday were 0 for 14. Today they were 7 for 16 with 8 RBIs.
And poor Ha-Seong Kim did not get a hit.
Ha-Seong didn't get in there, but he did drive in a run with a sacrifice fly.
Good point. Good point, Chris.
And he stole his first base of the season. But I think this is incredible, this runners in scoring position thing. I mean, again, I'm not going to have you look at every box score. There is no way they had a game last year with 10 hits with runners in scoring position. There's no way that happened. And they had 10 hits. They had 24 at-bats with runners in scoring position. I mean, this was not a fluky 15. They came out swinging, and they kept on swinging.
Because I know that you taped the game and then you watched it a little bit late.
I did. Yeah, I watched it when I woke up this morning.
So when I woke up, I immediately went and checked the score.
Okay.
Because I wanted to see.
You like to see the score before you watch the replay.
Yeah, then I'll go back and I'll look at
somebody
what
please see. You don't understand my viewing habits. I don't understand why somebody who DVR'd a game wants to know the final score before they sit down to watch it. That makes less sense than anything that I do.
You may have a point there. But I looked at my app and it said 15-11. I thought it was a typo because that just doesn't happen. And then I looked at runners in scoring position and I saw 10 for 24. I'm like, that doesn't happen.
No, that doesn't happen. So anyway, Padres got it done today. We can all feel a little bit better about things. John Nolan is the Fort Wayne Tin Caps play-by-play guy. He is that's the AA team of the Padres, and he's awfully well-versed in these young guys. And, we've heard about them. We've watched them a little bit. We're a little familiar with them. Let's get more familiar with the likes of Jackson Merrill and Jacob Marcy and, all of these guys that are vying to become Padres. We will have him on the program in the first hour of the show. Also, I haven't torn it up yet.
Can I do this real quick for you? Chris has held off from talking about his favorite day of the year for 12 minutes. So go ahead, Chris.
That was pretty impressive that I didn't even get to the NCAA tournament.
I almost asked you before the show, can we just start Padres?
We did.
Well,
of course we started Padres today.
That
was the big story. It was the big story of the day. But the NCAA tournament is underway. There are 5 games that have been completed. North Carolina blew out Wagner. That was to be expected.
Yes.
Right? There was no surprise there. Let's see what else happened early morning. Michigan State was impressive. I don't know that everybody picked that, but I think most people thought that they would beat Mississippi State. And Tom Izzo is just a good coach. What are you going to say? The guy's a good coach, and he has his team playing, really, really well right now. And they look good. They'll play North Carolina next in the second round. Also, this morning we saw who else? I'm scanning my bracket to find the other games that were played.
Did you already say Duquesne? Sorry, I was reading.
No, I'm going to saving that one.
Okay.
Creighton beat Akron. That was a comfortable win for Creighton.
Arizona
did not get the hook.
Nope.
Arizona is favored by 20.5. They beat Long Beach State by 20, so they missed the hook. And we're going to talk. I know that you guys, this is maybe not everybody's favorite subject, but with the Ohtani thing going on right now, and with what's happening now in the NBA, I don't know if you heard about that out there, but Cleveland Cavaliers head coach said he was been bullied by gamblers.
Yeah.
This whole thing with betting on sports is starting to get away from people a little bit. We're going to talk about it because I couldn't help but think about it as I was watching the end of that Arizona game.
Yeah.
It's a 20-point game. The spread's 20.5. Everybody's concerned about whether they'll make a basket or not. It's the wrong thing to be concerned with, right? We should be enjoying the game, but we're not because all we do is gamble on it. One last final score from earlier today. My new favorite team in college basketball, after the Aztecs, of course, the Dukes of Duquesne.
Duquesne? Is it Duquesne or Duquesne?
No, it's Duquesne.
Okay,
but since you called them Duquesne yesterday,
I know.
I'm referring to that. But anybody that beats BYU gets my love and immediate support. And they knocked off BYU today, 71-67. Nice job by Duquesne. They will move on in the tournament, and Duquesne gets to the second round. That was their first NCAA tournament game in like 47 years.
Really?
Yeah, they hadn't even been to the tournament since 1977.
That's a great story.
So they post a victory today. Now, there's 3 games in progress. I want to get you up to date before we take our first break. Illinois was embroiled in a real difficult game with Morehead State until about 5 minutes ago. And now Illinois has just gone on an explosion. And with 8 minutes to go, the Illini have pulled away to a 70-54 lead. So it's looking good for Illinois. Also in progress right now, Oregon at halftime leads at South Carolina 34-29. First half, Dayton 20, Nevada 16. Don't go anywhere. Keep your brackets handy. We will keep you up to date with all of the games as they go on throughout the day. We'll get you ready for the Aztec game tomorrow morning against UAB. We'll talk plenty of more Padres on the program in the wake of their 15-11 victory over the Dodgers. Chris Ello here, Matt Skraby there, Tony Gwynn Jr. Yeah, they talk about the flight to Korea.
Ugh.
You got to make one back, too.
No one cares about the flight back.
Nobody ever talks about the flight back. You got to do that, too.
Yes, you do.
13 and a half more hours. Tony is airborne. We will carry you through until 6 o'clock. Stick around. A good sports day. Good day to be around on San Diego's #1 sports talk station, 97.3 The Fan. All right, welcome back to Gwynn and Chris today. This is a great day. You know, my guy, Spiro Ditas, who's been on this show many times, was broadcasting the game last night. Boise State looked terrible, by the way.
They did.
Absolutely awful performance. Here's one thing I don't like, and I know you probably don't like this either, Skraby. But Boise State played 2 fantastic games this year against the Aztecs and beat them both times. Tyson Degenhart was amazing. Max Rice was hitting 40-foot jumpers. Omar Stanley was on fire in both games. All 3 of those guys were terrible last night. So you watch the game and you're like, where were these guys when they played the Aztecs?
Yeah, it's very annoying.
I mean, Max Rice, I think, scored 2 points last night. Degenhart had about 6. It was a really bad performance by Boise State.
Show up.
They didn't. And Colorado's, good team, but that was nowhere near what I would come to expect from Boise State. So the Mountain West is 1-1 right now. But here's what Spiro Ditas said last night. They were doing a promo for the games today that were on, CBS starting at 9 a.m. Tomorrow's like Christmas morning. And I said, that's right, Spiro. You tell them.
Spiro.
Today is like Christmas Day.
I
love
Spiro.
it. If you're a sports fan, today is like Christmas Day. The NCAA March Madness.
What does that make tomorrow then? Because it's like the same thing.
We get another one.
Okay.
But it's not quite the same tomorrow. I mean, even though the Aztecs are playing tomorrow, it feels like the first day is special. The second day, you just kind of settle in. And it's like, okay, another round of games.
Yeah.
But the first day, you're opening the presents. And the best gift of all was handed out by Duquesne. Ha BYU. Ha BYU. You know what? I hope somebody from Provo just happens to be tuned in right now. BYU. Please record what I'm saying and play it for all of your listeners.
Your feud with BYU is as
It'll
strange
never
as
end.
my feud with iPhone.
It'll never end. I mean, I went on a BYU thing 7 years ago, maybe 8 years ago.
I've heard.
Right? And they recorded what I said. They only played parts of what I said.
Yes, they did.
To make it sound worse than it was.
Yes, they did.
And they
did.
And they played it throughout Provo radio for like a week straight. And what did I get? 1,000 emails?
I don't know.
It was unbelievable. I mean, it was just incredible. They wrote a story about me in the newspaper. They had my picture in there. And if you ever wanted to check that out, like if you're saying, what are you talking about, Chris? Because I'm not going to revisit everything I said about them.
No, that's in the past.
It's in the past. Although much of it is still true today. Okay. I will say that. I'm not going to say what I said, but much of it is still true today. But if you want to know what I said about BYU, just Google Ello Rant BYU, and it will pop up.
It will.
Still today. So,
whenever I Google Chris Ello, it pops up.
It does still. Yeah, right. So anyway, BYU. We'll see you later. I'm going to keep you up to date with the scores. Nevada has gone ahead of Dayton now, 27-25, late first half. Oregon, just starting the second half, leads South Carolina 40-34. Those are the 2 games that are in progress. Illinois is still in progress, but they're now up 23 and really running away from Morehead State after what was a very close game for a long time. So if you got your brackets, keep them handy. I'll keep you updated on the scores. Just keep on listening. Enjoy the program. One thing about the Padre game that I enjoyed, I predicted the 2 things that you had enjoyed. Here's something I enjoyed about the game that we haven't talked about yet. Max Muncy sucks. I love that. And let me tell you something. Everybody who's a Padre fan feels the same way.
Absolutely.
There's something about Max Muncy that rubs all of us the wrong way. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I know it's there. If Padre fans had to pick their least favorite current Dodger, I'm pretty sure it would be Max Muncy. The other guy that would be giving him a run for his money is Dave Roberts, the manager. People in San Diego don't like Dave Roberts. I think they feel he's a little arrogant. He's a little above everybody. But since I know Dave Roberts and I really like Dave Roberts, I don't share that feeling about Dave Roberts. But Max Muncy, I share the feeling. He annoys me. I root against this guy openly. And he looked so bad at third base today that I honestly don't know how the Dodgers can keep playing him. I mean, he had 2 errors and he boxed at least 2 other plays that cost the Dodgers runs.
Absolutely.
And both of those went for hits.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a ground ball that Campusano hit in the very first inning. Manny would have backhanded it and thrown Campusano out by 20 feet.
Yep.
Muncy kicked it down the line for a double.
He did.
And they gave him a double.
I love how he just stands there and watches too.
He doesn't look like he cares.
He's playing a position that he's not set up for success.
He is awful at third base. And, Betts and Lux, although they're not, picking up errors yet, those 2 guys aren't great at second and short either. And anybody who thinks the Dodgers are going to run away to 110 victories because of all the money they spent, they're not going to run away to 110 victories playing that kind of defense.
No.
And if that's not – we had Alden Gonzalez on last week who covers the Dodgers, and I asked him, I said, how are they going to do with this defense? And he said, they're not going to do well. It's a big concern. It has to be a concern. The look on Dave Roberts' face every time the ball is hit to Max Muncy will tell you all you need to know.
It's a look of pain.
Pain and agony and OMG, what is he going to do now?
M. McKee 23 on the chat has a good one. They spent over $1 billion in free agency. They don't have a third baseman.
They spent $1 billion on free agency. They didn't buy any gloves.
They didn't do anything in the infield.
No, their infield
except for Freddie Freeman's the only one.
Oh, Freddie Freeman's fantastic, but he can only save so many throwing errors.
Exactly.
Max Muncy looked absolutely pathetic. And it's not just the 2 errors. I'm talking about the plays he didn't make that led directly to runs.
Absolutely.
I mean, and here's another thing. If you're ever playing the Dodgers and you're, struggling to get offense going, drop a bunt down to third base. See if he can play it.
I mean, he's not going to be quick enough to get down the line. If he's not
if he does, he's probably going to throw it away down into the right field corner. Max Muncy's not a major league third baseman. He is a major league designated hitter. The problem is the Dodgers already have a guy who does that pretty well. Named Shohei Ohtani. You might have heard of him.
I almost asked like a dummy, who was their DH last night? But of course,
you got it. Okay,
it's Shohei.
Yeah, but Max
I thought he was suspended already, Chris.
Yeah, I know. Well, we'll get into all of that. He's got some issues right now.
He does.
A lot of people around Ohtani are trying to downplay this, but I don't think you can keep downplaying it when $4.5 million exits your bank account and goes directly to a bookie.
Yeah, that's bad.
So we'll have to get into that as we go along.
Chris, you're getting lots of love on the chat today. Everybody's saying, keep it going, Chris.
Well,
making it rain.
I appreciate it, but, I think everybody's just in a better mood because the Padres won today. But I have a good read of our fan base.
Yeah.
And I know that our fan base does not like Max Muncy, so I know they were just as happy as I was to see him kicking the ball all over Korea.
Absolutely. All over Korea. Dan says Ohtani bet on the Padres today, so Muncy booted the ball.
Okay. All right. Well, we will get into all of that. We've got to take a quick time out here. Always at every break, coming in or out, one or the other, we will keep you up to date on the NCAA scoreboard. So have your brackets handy. We'll keep you up on those games. But for now, we take a quick timeout. When we come back, looking forward to having John Nolan. He's the play-by-play guy, the Fort Wayne Tin Caps. I want to know a little more insight into the likes of Jackson Merrill and Jacob Marr and all of these young guys. And he knows them all. So we'll catch up with him. He's the Sammy Lev now that Sammy's up with us.
Yeah.
Right? So we'll
John's
catch
great.
up. Yeah, we'll catch up with John next. Stick around for that. Padre fans, Gwynn and Chris.
Pitch to Cronenworth coming. That's lined sharply down the right field side. A fair ball going to go all the way to the corner and going to give the Padres a lead. Bogarts has scored. Tatis is on his way. He will score. And Cronenworth, who tripled 7 times last year, is into third base with a 2-run 3-bagger.
Take that, all you Jake haters. Jake Cronenworth, 4 for 4 RBIs today, leading the Padres to their highest scoring output ever in a game against the Dodgers. That's pretty crazy.
That is.
Been playing the Dodgers since 1969, Skraby. 55 years of baseball. And today, the first time they ever scored 15 against the men in blue. They gave up 11, but Robert Suarez, doing the un-Josh Hader-like thing of recording a 4-out save, nailed it down. Padres win 15-11. Michael King got the win in relief of Joe Musgrove. Joe did not have a great day, but he had a lot of support. Padres got 5 in the first, 4 in the third, had a 9-2 lead, but the game was not iced until Manny Machado, using the words of my friend Tony Gwynn Jr., pummeled a 3-run homer in the top of the 9th inning to account for the final margin. Yoshi Yamamoto's major league debut did not go well. Did not go well.
So, I don't know. I shouldn't hate the guys. I don't hate the guy.
You don't hate him. You hate the fact
yes.
that he signed, he was able to sign that big of a contract without ever playing a game. That's what you hate.
Or throwing a pitch.
A pitch, yeah. John Nolan, Fort Wayne, Caps, those guys are play-by-play, their play-by-play voice joining us shortly. 2 games in the NCAA tournament are in progress. Oregon, early second half, running away right now from South Carolina, 57-40. The Quacks lead by 17.
The Quacks? Are they like doctors or something?
No, it's another term for ducks. It's a term of endearment.
Okay.
The Quacks lead 57-40. Also, Mountain West, Nevada Wolfpack closed the first half on a 16-0 run. The Nevada was down by 7, but now at halftime, Nevada leads Dayton by 9, 34-25. Those are the 2 games that are in progress right now. How's your bracket? We'll keep you up to date as these games roll along. John Nolan, about set to join us. Is he ready? Skraby is negotiating with him right now.
I'm not negotiating. I
Oh,
was
you're
just telling him I was putting him on hold. He's ready to go.
Hello, John Nolan. How are you, and how are things in Fort Wayne, Indiana these days?
Hey, Chris. Hey, Matt. Thanks a lot for the chance to connect with you. And if only I had someone to negotiate on my behalf, maybe I'd be joining you guys in the sun rather than chilly weather. We're in the 30s here in Indiana, but ready or not, we'll be playing ball soon.
Yeah. Now, I have spent some time in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I broadcast Gulls hockey here in San Diego many years ago, and there was a year where the Gulls played the Fort Wayne Comets for the IHL championship. Fort Wayne won it in 4 straight. So the Comets celebrated at our expense, but I did spend a week there, and I thought it was nice. I had a good time.
Yeah. I know the immortal Dave Marcus has shared that trip with me in the past. And yeah, for listeners right now, in case you need some useless information here in the United States, you have the original 6 in the NHL, right? And then you got the Hershey Bears, and then it's the Fort Wayne Comets, or the next longest running professional hockey organization.
There you go.
For sports fans who are familiar with Doc Emmerich, who of course was the voice of hockey for so many years before he retired recently. Yeah. He grew up here in the Fort Wayne area, and the Fort Wayne Comets were what introduced Doc to sports and got him started in his career. So
there you go.
Fort Wayne Comets, the more you know.
Yes, absolutely.
Fort Wayne Comets, by the way, last bit of trivia, Comets spelled with a K.
Oh, wow.
And
even crazier.
I don't think I ever figured that out, and it really didn't interest me enough to delve into it further. John, let's talk about the Padres and some of these young players that you've had the privilege of seeing play. Just in general, do you feel like the young Padres, the organization, is as well stocked as most other people seem to think it is?
Yeah, for sure. And, I've actually been out here in Fort Wayne with the Tin Caps since 2013. And so, yeah, between the Comets and their long history of success hockey-wise and the Tin Caps who play at Parkview Field, which a lot of times gets rated as the top ballpark in minor league baseball, it's considered like the #1 minor league sports city in the country. And it's been a privilege to see so many top prospects. Admittedly, we had that stretch there where we were seeing all these guys make their major league debuts with other organizations after they had turned into assets in the trade market. So, a stretch like this week here, seeing guys like Jackson Merrill and Graham Pauley, who we had literally last summer. So not only for them to make it here from the high A level to the show is awesome in itself, but the rapid timeline is great too. And I've got no doubt that in due time, there's going to be a bunch more that we saw here in Fort Wayne not long ago because, I think that the Padres are first off, you just got to credit the scouting group, especially with the 2022 draft class that they had, even the year before that, which produced Merrill, but a lot of guys who are developing well, and not only the scouting group but the player development staff too, doing their part in grooming these guys to contribute to a club that obviously here has playoff and beyond expectations.
We're talking to John Nolan here. He's the Fort Wayne Tin Caps play-by-play man on 97.3 The Fan. And so we were texting a little bit earlier about some of the different prospects that you've seen. And like you said, you've seen a lot of them. You've seen Ethan Salas. You've seen Jackson Merrill, Robbie Snelling, Dylan Lesko. But Jackson Merrill's the kind of hot topic here in San Diego right now. And you got to see him up close and personal and kind of out of the spotlight. What kind of player is Jackson Merrill?
Yeah, I think a lot of the scouting reports now are accurate. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is just his ability to get the bat on the ball. And even I saw someone had shared stats from spring training, and I know it's only spring training, but comparing him to other top-tier prospects around the game from other organizations, he had by far the lowest swing and miss rate of any top prospect in big league spring training. And that goes right along with what we saw to him in the minors last year. And especially when you look back actually at the arc of his story in the minors last year, kind of inexplicably, there were 2 different weeks in the first month or so of the season in which he got a virus. So he was just physically not 100% in the early part last year, not to mention having to play in the cold of the Midwest. So through the first month or so, the numbers were not what we expected. I think actually when you step back at it now, and especially when you consider some of the conversation that people have about having him, in the deep end of the big leagues right now, how will he respond when he faces adversity and, inevitably at some point goes through a slump? There's obviously a difference between going through a slump against major league pitching and going through a slump against minor league pitching. But, he kind of had a bit of that humble pie last year, and a testament to the kind of character that he has, that he overcame that, and he went on to put up those gaudy numbers that you'd expect out of a top prospect in the minors. But I think, again, the thing that really just jumps out is it got to the point that he just was not striking out. And so if he wasn't barreling the ball up early in an AB, there would be situations where, he'd spoil those borderline pitches and, lay off borderline pitches when they were out of the zone. And, it might have taken 11 or 12 pitches, but he'd find a way to get on base. And so really steady, actually. I know Tony is traveling back right now. I think out of any prospect, and I'm not trying to be hyperbolic here, but out of any prospects that I've seen as far as a left-handed bat going through that old 5.5 hole, I mean, that was Jackson Merrill. He's not a guy who's usually trying to do too much. So he's not, I know he almost hit a home run today, but usually not swinging for the fences per se. He'll just, if the pitch on the outer part of the plate, he's got no problem, adjusting to what he's seeing and just knocking a single through the opposite side. And so I think that, that's going to benefit him and hopefully prevent an early slump now that he's up in the show.
Yeah, first 2 hits of his career today for Jackson Merrill, and 2 for 5. And as you said, hitting the ball with authority. John Nolan, seen all these young Padre players now. Ethan Salas, I mean, he's gotten a lot of attention. He's still like 12 years old. I mean, I know he's a little old. Not much.
He's 17.
I know he's 17, but I mean, are we seeing things from him that lead us to believe that he is the can't miss prospect that people say he is?
Yeah, I think with him, it's probably more the intangibles because of the fact that he's been so young, still 17 right now, and last year playing for the most part against guys who are closer to their mid 20s. I know he had a great run at the single A level down the road in Lake Elsinore, in which the numbers did kind of pop out of the box score. But as a catcher, I think it's more so about just the mental part of the game for him and how advanced he is there. And every pitcher that I've talked to in the minor league system that's worked with him, they just rave about his ability calling the game and what he can do defensively as a catcher to make things better for them. And I think he understands the importance and value of cultivating relationships with these guys. And again, that's part of why he had the quick ascension to Double-A last year, because that's where a lot of the top pitching prospects who, might get a call up at some point this year, or if not, then perhaps next year. And yeah, just really kind of fostering chemistry with them, and just carries himself as a complete professional, and part of byproduct of the fact that his own father played minor league baseball, and he's got an older brother in the minors and an uncle, I think a grandfather, and basically everyone in his family's played professional baseball. So he's grown up in that professional setting and environment. And I think a lot of fans know this by now, but just a reminder, even though he technically was considered the top international prospect in baseball last year out of Venezuela, spent a considerable part of his childhood in Florida. So that bilingual piece is another, pretty critical one in helping, the quick progress for him too. And well, we didn't have him for too long in Fort Wayne, so I can't say I got to know him on a personal level exceptionally well. But, in that short time, I learned that even though he was just a 17-year-old, he's kind of an old soul. Like, he's not someone who's got like a flashy sports car these days. I mean, I don't think he even really has dipped into his bonus money yet, but I know he is a fan of classic cars, and he's pretty knowledgeable about cars from decades ago. So just little stuff like that makes him different. Again, how many of us as adults sometimes struggle even to be on time, let alone early, and he's consistently, the first one in to the ballpark for early practice, and like the last one to leave, not in a rush to go do anything else, but just really focused on trying to be the best player that he can be.
Talking to John Nolan here, play-by-play man for the Fort Wayne Tin Caps on 97.3 The Fan. We've seen a lot of players, or at least maybe not a lot, but multiple players coming from Double-A, skipping Triple-A, and going right to the big leagues. And since you're calling Double-A and these guys are going from where you're at to the big leagues, why do you think it's much easier for these guys to skip Triple-A?
I don't know if it's necessarily easier for them to skip Triple-A, but just the reality of it here in this day and age is that like the geographic environment in not only El Paso, Texas, where the Padres AAA affiliate, the Chihuahuas is, but also the majority of the teams in that Pacific Coast League play at elevation. And so it goes both ways for pitchers. They can execute pitches and induce what should be a routine fly ball. And then all of a sudden, thanks to the elements, it becomes a home run. And so, not that there haven't been any guys who have pitched their way through the Pacific Coast League, but, for some guys, it can really throw them off. The numbers that are not representative. I think last year, Pedro Avila was an example of that, right? Like, he did not have good numbers necessarily in AAA, and, he held his own during his stints pitching in big league action. And then, on the opposite side of things, maybe hitters can develop some bad habits because they don't even have to have their A swing to get a ball in the air. And next thing you know, that elevation is turning it into a home run. And especially, when you lock in here on what Mike Schilt and the Padres are trying to do, and, be a team that executes situationally, you're not seeing a lot of those types of games in the PCL where more often than not, it can turn into something of a home run derby. So I think for that reason, that's definitely an aspect of why some guys are skipping AAA. It's not because There's no value at all to playing at that level, but some of the things there, because the elements make it skewed. And then also, I think when you step back and you look at sort of the roster makeup of AAA teams, that's a lot of what I suppose we would consider the 4A players, right? Guys who've kind of been back and forth in the big leagues and are more veteran. And obviously, it's really important to have guys like, I figure this year, a Matthew Batten will be starting off there, a Kevin Plawecki, guys who have proven that they can contribute at the big league level. But, you're talking about sort of the core of the prospects, younger guys. In a way, it's a little bit better maybe to keep them together, at the AA stage.
We've got about a minute left, but I want to spend it on Graham Pauley because I don't think a lot of people really know a lot about him. He hit 16 home runs for Fort Wayne last year. He's on this big league roster. He's kind of going to be coming off the bench, at least for now, pinch hitting. But what can he do, and what should we look for?
Yeah, so Graham Pauley, first thing that just really stands out to me about him is the type of person that he is. I remember meeting him when he first arrived in Fort Wayne last year, and just like a really unassuming guy, but really polite, really respectful. So whether he's talking to a former major leaguer, maybe on the coaching staff in the clubhouse, or he's talking to a fan, he's like the exact same guy. And I had the chance to be out at Peoria in spring training last week before the big league team left, and talking with Graham, he was 100% the same exact, just extremely polite, professional, respectful person. So I think it says a lot, because the time in between, he was the Padres minor league player of the year, but no ego whatsoever from that. The guy has proven that he can hit. He made a modification to his swing midway through last year that caused him to launch the ball more. So after being a really steady singles hitter, for anyone who saw him in Lake Elsinore last year, and maybe a guy who's driving the ball to the gaps for some doubles, but all of a sudden last year unlocked the ability to get the ball over the wall. I'll also say, I know Keith Law for The Athletic, he had a pretty harsh review of Graham's defense. I thought that was totally out of line. Not saying that Graham is going to be confused with Manny playing at third base, but I think you're talking about an above average athlete. So he's played all around the infield, even a little bit in the outfield. I trust in both like his IQ. I mean, he's got a degree from Duke in their economics program. I think between his IQ and his athleticism, he can more than hold his own in the field too.
Well, John, you can certainly hold more than your own.
Yeah,
talking about these young Padre players, I know that our fans enjoyed hearing about it. And as we go along, I want to definitely catch up with you and track the progress of these younger players who eventually we'll see here in San Diego. Thanks for your time today. Enjoy the season. Best of luck to the Tin Caps.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate you guys and your coverage of the entire Padres system. And for me in the Eastern time zone, thanks to everyone on staff for you guys who help me out with my insomnia when it's late night and we're done with the minor league games and I'm just locked into the station here streaming online. So keep up the great work, and hope to be able to share more stories about guys making the quick rise through the minor league system here soon.
We'll be ready. Thanks, John. We'll talk to you again. John Nolan right there, the play-by-play voice of the Fort Wayne Tin Caps, giving us a little more knowledge on the likes of Graham Pauley and Jackson Merrill and Ethan Salas and some of the young stars for this Padre ball club. Padres over the Dodgers today. If you just tuned in, 15-11. Yeah, that was the final score. The most runs the Padres have ever scored in a game against the Dodgers. And they've evened things up 1-1 as Tony Gwynn Jr. and everybody else flies back from Korea. We have already flown through the first hour of this program. And we'll come right back. Daily Gambit is next. And we'll update you on the ongoing. There's 2 games in the NCAA tournament right now. We'll give you scores when we come back. Stick around. More Gwynn and Chris ahead.
We talk Padres every day on the show, but
Christmas morning.
Two hit on the ground towards third base. That is a fair ball over the bag and off Muncy's glove down the line. Machado will come in to score. Campusano ends up at second base, and the Padres now lead 4-0 in the top of the first inning.
Max Muncy sucks. Oh, God. You're going to play that over and over again now?
I think it's been put in rotation.
Oh, boy. Well, after the way he played today, it's pretty accurate. That did go for a double, although Muncy boxed up at least 4 plays today, 2 errors and 2 other missed plays. Welcome back to Gwynn and Chris. Padres over the Dodgers 15-11. Going to talk a lot about the Padres on the program today. Thanks again to John Nolan. I know a lot of you enjoy that out there following the young players and the up-and-comers for the Padres organization. That is not my cup of tea necessarily. As you know, I feel prospects are prospects. You know, I like to see what they can do when they get here. Jackson Merrill, pretty impressive today, though.
Yeah.
Hit the ball hard again. Hit one off the top of the fence. 2 for 5. Got his first 2 big league hits. Congratulations to Jackson Merrill there. On the NCAA tournament scoreboard, 4:10 remaining. 11 seed Oregon, 74. 6 seed South Carolina, 61. Oregon trying to finish off the win for the Pac-12. The other game in progress right now, 15 minutes left. Nevada out of the Mountain West has a 42-29 lead over Dayton. The Wolfpack turned that around with a 16-0 run to close the first half.
It's not good for me.
Yes, right. You had Dayton going quite far in your bracket. But, you know, you took a shot. I respect you. I respect you taking a shot. I mean, it's easy to pick the top seed or the 1 or 2 seed in every bracket. Anybody can do that. But you took a shot on Dayton. Right now, it's not working out. Huh?
I'm hoping that they can do something here.
We'll see. The Nevada's one of the better Mountain West Conference teams. I think they have really, in Keenan Blackshear, I think they have a future NBA guy, or real close to an NBA guy. He's tough to stop. He impressed me in the games against the Aztecs this year. All right, Aztecs don't play till tomorrow, and they'll take on UAB. We'll take a closer look at that game a little bit later in the program. One last thing on the brackets. There are 6 games that have gone final so far. Skraby, your record, 5-1. Pretty good.
Whoa, that is pretty good.
Crisello, your record, 5-1. Pretty good.
Wow.
Loriello, 6-0.
Oh, my goodness.
My wife is uncanny at
really
picking
is.
this stuff.
Fantasy football.
It's
fantasy
unbelievable.
Whatever, March
She's 6-0.
Madness.
She had Duquesne over BYU today.
How did she come to that? Because not many people, you know.
She's related to me. She probably doesn't like BYU either. So there you have that.
It all comes back to
it
BYU.
all comes around to BYU, yes. All right. We have some bets we made, and we got to talk about some of these stories in the betting world that are going on right now. So let's get to today's Daily Gambit.
Do you like money?
I think about money a lot.
Do you like money without doing anything?
Winning.
Do you want to make money while watching sports?
I think Washington is immortal luck.
Washington! Woohoo!
If you answered yes, this is your segment. Just don't blame us when you lose.
Nothing is ever your fault.
It's your game. Take it.
Gwynn and Chris go through the top bets of the day in the Daily Gambit on 97.3 The Fan.
Daily Gambit is our daily sports betting segment here on Gwynn and Chris. Please, everybody, gamble responsibly. I want to repeat that. Please, everybody, gamble responsibly.
Evidently, that message is not getting through to the rest of the world right now.
No, the rest of and this is, I can't remember who tweeted this last night. It may have even been Dallas Braden, because Dallas Braden was on one, on a good one last night.
Yeah, he's rolling on this Ohtani thing.
I just think that it's going to get worse before it gets better. And gambling is an addiction. So you're pretty much like with alcohol. They don't sell alcohol after a certain time to keep people from driving home drunk. Gambling,
they don't have those restrictions on gambling.
As dangerous.
They don't have those restrictions on gambling. You can bet as much as you want, even money you don't have. And that's why a lot of people are in trouble. And Shohei Ohtani might be the next guy in trouble.
Yeah, we're going to get into that.
We're going to get into that in the next segment. It's so confusing, and it changes like the wind.
It does.
Every 20 minutes, there's a new story about the Shohei Ohtani gambling and his the $4.5 million and how it got wired from Ohtani's account to a bookmaking operation and Ohtani's interpreter. We'll get into that a little bit more. We're also a little later going to get into this Cleveland Cavaliers story. Their head coach, J.B. Bickerstaff, says that he's been harassed by mobsters / gambling people that are trying to get him to throw games.
Yep.
I'm telling you, I've said, I'm not going to have to say I told you so, but I said it at the beginning of this whole thing. When they climbed into all these sports leagues, climbed into bed with these gambling services. There's only one thing that I can think of that can take sports down.
Gambling.
A big, huge gambling ring operation and mess. Nothing else could end sports as we know it. But if you ever get to a point where people don't think these games are on the up and up, sports would take a hit that it would have trouble coming back from, at least for a long while.
That's true.
Ask the Black Sox scandal in 1919.
Here's a tweet that I saw earlier today that kind of sums up everything about the betting world right now, and it goes like this. And it's a quote. It's like a fake thing. Welcome back to SportsCenter, presented by ESPN Bet. For more on the Ohtani situation, we go to our FanDuel MLB insider, Jeff Passan, at our DraftKings studio in Los Angeles, brought to you by Caesars Sportsbook. Jeff, how could something like this happen? It's true.
Yeah, it's a good tweet.
It's
a
true.
Good tweet. Yeah, everything's sponsored by a gambling service now.
Don't come out and say, well, we tell people to gamble responsibly when you are just rolling in the money that's coming your way.
We can do a gambling segment because we're not rolling in any money.
No, we're not.
And
making
we're not
anything.
betting any money.
And we're not making you spend money either. So it's just this thing does bother me, and I hope.
All right. With all that said, what did we bet on last
good,
night?
Good call, Chris. Get me rolling.
What did we bet on?
Montana State and Grambling State. Montana State was a 4.5-point favorite in this one, and you chose Montana State. I chose Grambling because they're Tigers and they beat Bobcats. And Grambling State won 88-81
in overtime.
Good
game. Good game.
Colorado, they were 3-point favorites over Boise State. Both Chris and I, for some reason, had faith in Boise. They lost by 7, 60-53, and they didn't show up.
It was a bad effort, game for Boise State.
BYU 10-point favorites over Duquesne. Now, here's where I'm a little bit of a dum-dum.
I don't understand what you were thinking here.
I don't either, but I picked BYU. You picked Duquesne. But in my bracket, I picked Duquesne to beat BYU, so this makes no sense. You are right in this one, though, because Duquesne won outright. Arizona, 20.5-point favorites over Long Beach State. And you chose Arizona. I chose Long Beach State. Arizona wins by 20.
Yes,
85-65.
there's that hook again.
Yeah.
And this is why it's this reason number 500 why you shouldn't bet on these guys. The game was decided, the gambling part of it was decided in the last 2.5 minutes by guys from the end of both teams' benches because all the starters had come out, and you have guys that never even play attempting shots that are deciding who wins millions of dollars.
Yeah.
There's something wrong with that inherently right off the bat.
Yeah.
So that's, I was watching into that game.
That is, I don't want my money resting on the guy who has 1 minute on
the water
air.
boy who's coming in and taking a 3-point shot to decide whether I win my bet.
Just so he gets a stat.
Yeah.
The next one was the Celtics, 10.5-point favorites over the Milwaukee Bucks without Giannis. Chris chose the Bucks. I chose the Celtics. Celtics won, but they did not cover. They won by 3, 122, 119.
This is the old backdoor. The Celtics were way ahead, and then the Bucks got it close at the end to beat the spread.
And then the Dodgers and the Padres, we did a total score over under 8.5. Thankfully, we both went over.
Yeah,
because
it was over in the first inning.
26.
Yeah, 26 runs today. All right, so we both went 3-3 last night is how it all turns out. For the week, I'm having a good week, Skrabe. I'm 11-4. You are 7-8. So you got to make up a little ground as we take a look at the game coming up in about an hour between Colorado State and Texas. Texas Longhorns favored by 3. My wife went to Colorado State. I cannot bet against them if I want to eat dinner tonight. I'll take the Rams. Who are you going with? You went to CSU. So
I did.
Are you going to stick with them?
Who's the 3-point favorite?
Texas is favored by 3.
That's right. I'm going to pick Colorado State.
You should.
I'm going to.
Hopefully the Mountain West is on to something this year. Kansas is 7.5 over Samford. That seems like a really low spread.
Yeah.
Even though Kansas is without its leading scorer, it's still Kansas, and it's still Samford.
Yes.
You're only getting 7.5 points. Do you have the guts to take Samford?
No.
You do not.
No.
I don't either. I can just see Kansas. I don't know. Kansas hasn't impressed me at all this year, but
they've lost some games that they should have
won. A lot
won.
of games, but most of them were on the road. This is a neutral site. San Diego State tomorrow morning is 7 over UAB. I can't do my usual, I'm going to take UAB to try and jinx them.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even do that. I have to go all in on the Aztecs here and just keep my fingers crossed that they can make some shots tomorrow morning. I'll take the Aztecs.
Give me the Aztecs, baby.
All right. And now here is the bet of the year. Bet of the year, and I probably jinxed it, but here it is. Between San Diego State and UAB, which team will reach 10 points first? Now, we talked about this yesterday. The Aztecs have been outscored in the beginning of a game 15 times in their last 16 games.
Mm-hmm.
They fall behind in every single game. So would you be willing to bet against them in the race to 10 points?
You know
Skraby.
what? Tournament time.
Tournament time.
I think I was going to go with UAB. I'm going with the Aztecs.
You're going against the grain here.
Yes.
You say Aztecs get to 10 first.
Yeah.
As much as I love the Aztecs, they never get to 10 first.
So
I will
UAB?
take UAB there.
All right.
One more game tomorrow. I'm really keeping an interest on this New Mexico team, which won the Mountain West tournament. They're 2.5-point favorite over Clemson, despite the fact New Mexico's the 11th seed.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And Clemson's the 6th seed.
And your wife picked Clemson to win before you asked her to change it.
She did. She originally, her first bracket she turned in had Clemson. I said, you got to turn in another one. That's just not going to happen. Clemson's not winning the national title. All right, I'm first here. I'm going to stick with the Mountain West.
All
Take
right.
UNM.
UNM.
Yes. Who do you like here?
I don't want to see Jalen House running around.
I don't
cheering.
either. I don't really either.
But I have to stick with the Mountain West and go on New Mexico.
I mean, keep in mind how bad the Mountain West beat the ACC the other night, the way Colorado State drubbed Virginia.
Yeah,
So
true.
Clemson wasn't as
true.
good as Virginia this year,
No, not at all.
at least in record. One NBA game tonight. Denver is 8.5 points at home over the New York Knickerbockers.
Denver -8 Knicks.
Yeah, we know Denver's, one of the Western standings are very, very tight right now. Still got Oklahoma City on top, but Denver's only a half game behind. The Knicks are having a great year. They're 4th in the East, only 2.5 games out of 2nd. So Knicks have played very well. Knicks are 19-14 on the road this year, which is really, really good.
That is really good.
Who do you like here?
I'm
Denver
going
by 8.
No, I'm going Knicks. I'm going Knicks.
Knicks blew out the Warriors
They
the other
did.
night.
They did. That's why I'm going Knicks.
I'm going to go with the Knicks as well. I like the 8.5. They're playing well. Knickerbockers, Tom Thibodeau's team.
Tom Thibodeau.
All right, Nevada continues to lead Dayton by 11 with 11 minutes to go.
Come on, Dayton.
Oregon's up 11 on South Carolina. Only a minute 48 left in that game. So keep an eye on your brackets. We'll keep an eye on ours. And when we come back after a check of traffic, kind of an extension of the Daily Gambit today, the Shohei Ohtani story. I would love to preview it for you right now, but it'll probably change by the time we come back from commercial.
That's a good point.
So we'll give you the latest on what's happening with that mess as Gwynn and Chris rolls on. All right, it's all over in Pittsburgh. The 11th seed Oregon has taken down the 6th seed South Carolina. Final score, Oregon 87. South Carolina 73. Oregon won rather easily. Another victory for the Pac-12 and another victory for an 11 seed. 2 11 seeds have played today. They both have won. Duquesne, knocked off BYU, and now Oregon has knocked off South Carolina. So 7 games are done. Adam Klug just busted in here, waving his bracket around. He's a perfect 7-0.
Hey, if I had a 7-0 bracket, I'd be
You'd
waving
wave it around
too.
too.
Yeah.
Well, I'm 6-1, which is, not bad for me. I'm expecting to collapse at any moment. There is 1 game in progress, and right now it is looking very good for the Mountain West Conference here. Well, you're just booing. You're not booing the conference.
No.
You're booing your pick of Dayton to advance deep into the tournament because Nevada is running away from Dayton now, 56-39.
It's pretty sad.
7 minutes remaining in that one. The night session gets underway in about 45 minutes, but pretty soon we'll have 8 games in as the NCAA March Madness is underway. Now, madness is a good word to describe what is happening with this whole situation swirling around Shohei Ohtani, the Dodger superstar.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody seems to want to talk about this right now. I got asked about it 3 times last night at softball.
It's a big story.
It's a big deal. The problem with talking about it is it's almost impossible to understand what exactly is happening. Now, I can tell you that the very latest story, which came out within the last half hour, is this. Representatives of Dodger superstar Shohei Ohtani have contacted law enforcement authorities and have asked them to investigate, quote, a massive theft of money from the player. Major League Baseball source told ESPN that the league has not been contacted by the federal authorities. MLB's next step will be to gather facts, which could take some time. And we don't have a lot of facts. What we have is a lot of possibilities right now.
We have a lot of sweeping around.
We believe that $4.5 million was transferred from Ohtani's bank account to a bookmaking operation. We don't know who transferred the money. I've heard reports that say Ohtani transferred the money.
It came from his account.
I have heard, well, it doesn't mean that if somebody broke into his account, then he would not have transferred the money.
True.
I'm just saying that's a possibility. Again, we don't know for sure. There's a lot of people who say his interpreter stole the money from Ohtani in order to cover gambling debts. The people who are on the Ohtani gave him the money wagon say that Ohtani was just trying to help protect him from losing money, and not losing money, but at least give him the money to cover his bets because he was trying to help him out.
Which is
But
enabling.
the storylines change, and that's why it's hard to have an opinion on this. But the one thing I can say is with pretty good certainty, right, is that gambling is the reason this is an issue. Apparently, his interpreter lost $4.5 million gambling or was about to and needed this money. Now, whether he stole it from Ohtani gave it to him, we don't know yet. According to sources, Ohtani does not gamble. All right. But according to those same sources, all of this money was to cover his interpreter's gambling losses. So if you didn't have gambling addiction as his interpreter, the money probably wouldn't be stolen in the first place. Gambling leads to a lot of other really crappy things, and this is one of them.
That's a good point. Like, that's
like
a really
he's
good
not
point.
going to steal $4.5 million just on a whim.
No, he's going to do it for a reason.
He's going to do it because he's in
desperate.
danger of being killed by some bookmaker.
Here's what I think happened, and this is not fact.
You don't know.
I don't know.
Make sure you say that.
This is a conscrabacy.
Conscrabacy. Okay, good.
Shohei Ohtani is actually betting. and he accidentally.
Oh, you think he is betting?
I don't
even
know
though the
he's betting
sources
on
say
I'm
he's
not saying he's betting on baseball. I think that would be extra
But you
crazy.
think Ohtani's betting? The sources have told
because
ESPN
you can't
that
bet legally in California the way he was betting.
the sources say Ohtani does not gamble, but that you're just conspiracing that he does.
Yes.
All right.
He does, and he sent the money to the account, but then he realized he accidentally sent it from an account that could be traced back to him because it was Shohei Ohtani's account. So then this whole process went forward of trying to get the interpreter to be
so
the
they're
fall
trying.
guy.
Okay, so you're trying to make. Okay, so that's a.
I know that's a little out there.
That's way out there. That's a conspiracy, and we are miles away from that actually being true.
Why do we just take his word for it, though?
I'm not taking his word for it, but
baseball's not even investigating him right now.
That's not true. It says right here, Major League Baseball source said that the league is going to begin to gather facts. So they're going to investigate.
How long is it going to take them to gather facts?
It may take them a while.
This to them.
I mean, everybody's saying something different right now. Don't automatically assume. I know there's people who say you can't touch Ohtani, so baseball is going to cover it up. You know, Michael Jordan was involved in a lot of gambling issues when he was a player. And, you know, there's some people to this day who think that David Stern kicked him out of the league for a year and a half, that it wasn't a retirement.
Yeah.
Now, there's really nothing to support that. That's also another conspiracy.
That's a conspiracy.
Using your word.
Yes.
But Jordan was involved with gambling a lot of money, and that was pretty much proven. And I think the league went after Jordan to a certain extent to try and get him to calm some of that down. I don't know that it ever worked, but you know, Jordan has so much money. Charles Barkley's another guy.
Yes,
gambles,
that's true.
Thousands and thousands of dollars, and is online is saying, I can gamble it because I have it. That's Barkley's take. I don't know that that's necessarily the best attitude to have, but
if you're doing it legally, there's nothing wrong with it.
Well, if you have the money and you want to use it for entertainment, I guess it's okay. But the bottom line is gambling leads to other really negative things.
Totally. You're right.
And I'm not going to get
spot on. If he doesn't have a gambling problem, his interpreter, then this is not happening.
Then this hasn't happened.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, I don't want to get on a high horse, but we had our friend Chet Forty, who worked with us many years ago at the old sports talk station here. One of the most beloved guys I ever knew, and helped take care of me on my way up, and a ton of other guys. You know, Chet was the director of Monday Night Football. Chet also had a major gambling problem, and he admitted that he, from time to time, would not show a replay on the Monday Night Football game if it might affect his wager.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, now that's way back when, okay. But the other problem with Chet's gambling problem is that he ended up owing tons of money later in his life, and he talked about it often, but this man was under extreme stress away from the radio show.
Yes.
I don't mean to speak out of school here, but I know that Chet was very open about a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to, give secrets about a guy who's, passed away. I loved him more than anything. My point I'm trying to make is his gambling problems caused him so much stress late in his life that I don't know if that stress didn't contribute to him passing a little earlier than he might have. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm no doctor, but I know that stress kills.
It does, and especially stress like when you're gambling and when your money's on the line, and then you win and you get that rush of, oh my gosh, I won, and then you go put money down and then you lose and now you're down.
Chet was very. I have a good friend of mine who was getting into gambling as a young kid. He went to speak with Chet Forty at the radio station, and Chet Forty took him aside for a couple of hours and changed this kid's life. Said,
"Good,
don't let happen to you what happened to me."
Good. Because that's exactly what needs to happen. And I wish there was more outreach about gambling with all the gambling that we do now. And I talked about last night, gambling is an addiction just like any other addiction. It's just like alcohol addiction. It's just like drugs. It could be anything. Addictions, to me, if they're affecting your life, then they're a bad addiction. And gambling can easily turn into that.
Yes, but the NBA and the NHL and Major League Baseball and the NFL feel like if they just put a little 3-word sentence at the bottom of their gambling ad, Please gamble responsibly. And if you think you have a problem, call this number.
1-800-GAMBLER. I'm going to repeat that. 1-800-GAMBLER for everybody. Seriously.
But I don't think that works. Don't tell me that gambling is the number one thing to do.
It's a good resource.
Oh, no, the resource works, but you're giving a 45-second ad on gambling and all the fun you can have gambling. And then for 1 second at the end, you're saying, but if you think you have a problem, call us.
It's like
that's not a good exchange.
Alcohol commercials and beer commercials at the end. Please drink responsibly.
Yeah,
and that's never changed, right? Hasn't that been the tagline for years?
Right. Hopefully, people that listen to this show are take it remotely seriously.
They do.
Gamble money you have. Use it as a fun, like fantasy sports. Don't be betting money that you have or don't have.
Yeah.
But, you get in a league, you have some fun. That is a sport. That is a form of gambling. Make no mistake.
If you have to make a decision between food and your bets tonight, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. I believe you need food to live.
All right, 3:32 is the time. Dayton's trying to make one last charge.
I see it.
They're down 9 now with 5 minutes to play. So we'll keep an eye on that. It's the only NCAA tournament game going at the moment. But Gwynn and Chris is going until 6 o'clock.
Listen to Annie and Els.
Alford's one of my favorite guys. Could he be choking away a 17-point lead in the final 8 minutes? Oh, the madness of March. Welcome back to Gwynn and Chris, everybody. Chris Ello, Matt Skraby together in our Odyssey Palace, where we have watched Dayton go on a 14-0 run. They were down 17.
Knew I love the Flyers.
And now they are down 3, and there's still 3 minutes to go. Nevada 56, Dayton 53. Now they just changed it to 52. I think they're calling that last shot a 2-pointer, not a 3. But regardless, Dayton is right back in this game after Nevada looked like they were just going to cruise to the victory.
They're missing everything right now.
Nevada is. Yeah. Well, Dayton missed everything at the end of the first half.
That's true.
When Nevada went on a 16-0 run. Now it's Dayton's turn to be on a big run. Everything else from the morning group of games has gone final. Illinois beat Morehead State. Illinois will face Duquesne. Yes, Duquesne knocked off BYU. North Carolina won big over Wagner. Michigan State took out Mississippi State. It was Arizona over Long Beach State. It was also Oregon just a little while ago polishing off South Carolina.
Ha!
Dayton just hit another 3.
The only reason I care is because Dayton is going far in my bracket.
Yeah, they tied it up. Now it's a 17-0 run for Dayton. Game is tied 56-all, 2:30 to go. I won't need to broadcast it for you. If Dayton makes any more baskets, Skraby will just yell.
I will refrain
over the program.
I will try not to.
The other final, Creighton beat Akron earlier today. Dayton finally had the run ended. North Carolina or Nevada just had a bucket. So 58-56, Nevada, 2:10 to go. This one's coming right down to the wire. And that's the madness. We love it. March Madness. And you shouldn't be rooting for Dayton.
I know. It goes against everything I've been saying.
But, it might work out for you, Skraby. It's a great comeback they have made, certainly in this game. All right. We are going to get into some other fun stuff that's going on in the sports world right now. And we call this segment the 30-mile zone because it tackles some subjects that are a little more lighthearted.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
No complaints, no surprises on our roads, guys, meaning, of course, you're still going to see the usual slowing in the usual spots, but at this point, no incidents or accidents getting in your way. I'm Kelly Danick with Gwynn and Chris, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
If you don't know your sports gossip, can you really call yourself a sports fan? It's time to bring together sports and celebrity gossip. We call it the 30-mile zone. Mainly so we don't get sued by the real company. On 97.3 The Fan.
All right, very quickly, this segment is brought to you by our friends at Spiro's Mediterranean Food. If you love Mediterranean like I do, Spiro's, for dining or takeout options, visit spiroscuisine.com.
All right. So as Chris said, this 30-mile zone segment is basically just sports gossip.
Well, we've done a lot of serious talk here on the gambling stuff, so let's lighten the mood a little.
All right,
here.
Let's go. And we're going to start with actually something that happened in the Padres game last night and something that happened with Fernando Tatis Jr. last night. It's kind of funny, actually. So before the game, the entertainment was a Korean pop band, and I don't
K-pop.
No, it's not K-pop.
Oh, there is a band called K-pop.
It's Soyoung, Minnie, Miyoung, Yuki, and Shahua.
I didn't need to know who it was.
They were performing on the field before the game, and Fernando was stretching, and the cameras caught Fernando about maybe like 20 feet away or something, just continuing to stretch while he's watching the show, Chris. So he has like literally
front row
seat in the house, and all he's doing is just stretching.
Yeah.
And people thought that was pretty funny.
Attaboy Fernando.
Yeah, attaboy Fernando.
Yeah.
All right. So that one is in the books.
That reminds me, what was the guy? Do you remember? It was the kicker in the Super Bowl, the Bengals kicker or punter.
Oh, no, it was the kicker.
It was the kicker. McPherson.
Yeah.
Remember, he came out at halftime to watch
Eminem
perform.
He did.
That was funny.
That was funny.
So,
people got mad at that, too.
Yeah, people were not happy. Super Bowl, and the kicker's out there during halftime watching, Let's take a break from the 30-mile zone because this game's too good.
You keep watching. I'll keep talking.
Well, we got a minute to go. The clock's running. Dayton's got the ball down by 1. I think people want to find out what's going to happen here. Dayton's on a 22-3 run after they were down 17. They just scored a bucket to take the lead. So it's Dayton 61, Nevada 60. They were down 17 points with like 7 minutes to go.
Wow.
They've outscored them 22-4, an 18-point spread, and now timeout. So go ahead back with the 30-mile zone, and we'll let you know what happens here.
Right.
But right now, Dayton 61, Nevada 60, and it'll be Nevada ball following the timeout.
Chris, do you remember a show named Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader?
I do remember that show, and my answer to that question was always no.
Yeah, those questions were kind of hard, actually.
Right.
They're trying to reboot it, and they're going to target one person for being the host of it. It's an NFL player.
An NFL player is going to host it. Should I be able to guess who this is?
Yeah.
I should.
Oh, yeah.
Is it a current NFL player?
Yeah.
Current, loud NFL player? Is that
loud?
why?
Media loud.
Media loud. Odell Beckham Jr.?
No.
Oh.
Travis Kelce is being tabbed to be the next host of Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader?
Travis Kelce is going to get tabbed to do everything with hope that Taylor Swift will come along for the ride.
I think she will. You're saying that people are going to give him jobs because of his girlfriend, which is kind of maybe true.
Kind of maybe?
Kind of maybe. I don't want to say it is. I don't want to say it's not. It's kind of maybe, Chris.
All right.
Not going to commit either way.
I think it's kind of yes. I mean, Travis Kelce's a good guy. He's a great player. He's a Hall of Famer, etc. But enough already.
Yes, enough.
Really,
already.
Let somebody else get in on some of the action.
I agree.
It's not all Travis Kelce and the rest of us in the world.
No, it is. It is.
Okay.
Did you see James Harden last night guard
Oh,
Kawhi
my God,
Leonard?
that was the funniest thing ever, and we'll talk about it in a second. But right now, it's Nevada ball. I can just say, if I was listening to the radio right now and the game was going on and I wasn't telling you what's going on.
This is your day.
I'd be frustrated. So I want to know. Nevada's got the ball. There's 23 seconds. They're down by 1. The clock is running. Guy's just standing around. He just lost the ball. Dayton stole the ball.
Wow.
15 seconds left. Nevada foul.
Ooh.
So Dayton will go to the free throw line.
Ooh, Adam just went to the window, too. I think his bracket's coming to an end here.
Yeah, Adam said he was going to be 8-0 because he picked Nevada.
He was like, I got Nevada. It's fine.
So much for that.
Well, we'll have to see. I mean, there's still 15 seconds left.
22-4 run.
He dribbled it off of his foot.
It happens.
That's nerves right there. That's got to be nerves.
So,
and the guy, what is that guy? There was a Nevada player that just walked up to the guy at the free throw line to say something to him. I don't know what that
said, don't choke.
Go
Dayton,
ahead,
2 free throws, 15 seconds left. It's not a 1-and-1. It's a 2 free throw situation. First one is good, 62-60, 23-4. I mean, Nevada had this game so locked up. 17-point lead with 7 minutes left. They've been outscored by 19.
Where is this game? I think it's Salt Lake.
It is in, let's see, yeah, Salt Lake City is right.
Dayton traveled well. And
you would have thought that the altitude might have been affecting a team like Dayton that doesn't play at altitude.
No, they play at...
It apparently hasn't affected them. They just hit the second free throw. They're on a 24-4 run to close the game. Alford's diagramming a 3-point play to try and tie it.
That's a brutal way to go into the offseason if you're a team. You blew a 24-point lead or 20-point lead or whatever it was.
I want Nevada to win because I want good things for the Mountain West Conference. But anytime Alford and BYU can lose on the same day, it's not exactly the worst day of my life.
That's true. That's true.
All right, go ahead and
bye, Adam. Bye.
Bye to your bracket, Adam. Your perfect bracket.
He just walked by.
Yeah.
So back to Kawhi Leonard. And James
this was
Harden.
hilarious. If you didn't see the video, you got to put this video up. It's like you see this and you're like, what is going on?
It's very true. I mean,
we've all watched 1,000 NBA plays in our lives. All right, I'm sorry. Sorry to interrupt you, but we got to do the last 15 seconds, see what happens with Nevada. They're dribbling the length of the floor. They need a 3 to tie. Dayton not a foul. Don't let him shoot a three. Foul him. He shot a tough three. No good. 2 seconds left. Blackshear to tie it. No. Air ball. Dayton pulled it out. How do you like that, Skraby? Your bracket is still alive.
Woo! That was stressful.
Dayton 63, Nevada 60. Nevada is going to have a miserable offseason.
I love it when the bench players are so excited.
They blew a 17-point lead with 7 minutes to play.
That's brutal.
That is brutal, but Dayton has advanced.
Yes,
they will
are.
take on Arizona
That's
in
a
the
big
second
win.
round.
All right. We're going
All
to
right, now
finally finish this.
Yes, we have a break between games for the next 10 minutes or so. Adam came. You ruined it, Adam. You came in and said that you had a perfect bracket. You don't anymore.
Thank you, Adam, for letting
Thanks,
Dayton
Adam.
win for me.
Way to go.
All right, so James Harden, they are up 21 points. The Clippers are, and it's 4:29 according to the clip left in the third quarter. So James Harden's dribbling down the court. He passes it to Kawhi Leonard in the corner, and then he goes and tries to guard Kawhi Leonard as he's shooting the three.
I know.
He closed him out. James Harden has a reason for this, though, because many people thought this was just like a brain fart, because I can't ever imagine anyone guarding their own guy. But he said that he was trying to lighten the mood and get the Clippers out of the fog that they've been in lately when he was asked about this whole thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There was a method to his madness, and I
Yeah.
mean madness. That was madness by James Harden. He ran out and guarded his own guy shooting a shot.
He did. I'm going to put this back
If you
up
see
a
the
little bit
video,
later.
you're going to be like, what in the world is he doing?
I had to watch it like 3 times because I wasn't really sure what I was watching because
Yeah.
I've never seen that before.
Nobody's ever seen that before.
Let's see. I was going to talk about this one, but you don't care about Love is Blind. You know, I got to say, there's not much out there today, Chris.
All right. It's quiet. 30-mile zone.
I really looked very hard and not much going on. So we're going to have to.
Well, you had
We're
one
gonna
on the
have to put-
Paris Olympics. I thought that was kind of
I'm
interesting.
not
Are
going
you
to bring
not
that
sharing
one
that
up.
one?
No, I'm not going to bring
Why
that
can't
up.
you share that?
Okay, well, let me go find it. Wait a second. The NFL is not banning the tush push? Is
Of
that
course
true?
they're not. Why should they?
I guess Troy Vincent, NFL executive, announced today that league officials will not hear a proposal on the play in its annual meeting in Orlando next week.
There's no reason to ban it. There's only one team that's really good at it, and they shouldn't be penalized for being good at it. And if you don't like it, then get good at it yourself. Every other team boxes it up. The Eagles are the only one it works for. I don't see why you should ban it.
Some teams don't even try.
They shouldn't, because they don't know what they're doing.
But
and now that Kelsey's retired,
Yes.
Jason Kelsey, not
Yeah.
Travis, but now that Jason Kelsey's retired, maybe even the Eagles won't be that good at it anymore.
I don't think they will because I think he was the secret.
I think the tush
secret
push,
sauce.
the tush push is going to be a fad, and it'll go away.
I'm trying to. I know what I wanted to talk about. On a side note of a conspiracy, do you know why this Shohei Ohtani news came out, Chris?
Oh.
Because we have not seen Kate Middleton yet. And don't tell me that video of Kate Middleton is Kate Middleton, because it's not Kate Middleton. She doesn't disappear for 2 months, show up at a farmer's market, do a video, and then not say anything about it.
Okay.
There you go. That's all I got to
So
say
wait,
about
the
that.
Otani news came out as a distraction
Yeah,
from
we
Kate
all forgot.
Middleton.
We all forgot
So
about
now
Kate
you're
Middleton.
blaming the Otani news on the Royals.
Yes. All right, I found that.
I love conspiracies, but when they're really stupid, I don't love
This
them.
is one of my worst 30-mile zones. But what I'm going to say is Chris is forcing me to do this story.
I don't know why this isn't what is
It's
wrong.
not a
What
bad
is the matter
story.
with it?
Anyway, relations between athletes at the Olympics is not prohibited at the Olympics this time around.
Okay.
They call it an intimacy ban, and it has been lifted. The Olympic Village will be stocked with 300,000 condoms, Chris.
Well, they've had condoms there in the past.
I know that they have, but that's a lot. That's a lot.
How many?
300,000?
Wow.
I
Is
mean,
anybody going to take any time to compete in their events?
I don't know. That is so.
Yeah.
That is a lot of condoms.
Sounds like a lot of relations going on.
14,500 athletes are going to have access to this.
Okay.
And they're making sure that no unwanted pregnancies happen.
All right. Well, if they're going to do it anyway, they're going to have relations. We might as well try to make it protected.
I get it. Yeah.
Seems smart.
I get it too.
But the story is the fact that in Paris, they're going to They're not encouraging it, but they're not banning it as they have in the past.
Yeah,
everybody had to run around in secret in the past.
Yes.
Now you don't have to run around in as much secret.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, athletes like relations as much as anyone else likes relations. I don't know why you're having a problem with this.
I don't have any problem with it, but can you imagine?
Well, you had a problem with even giving the story out.
Well, I didn't get that. I didn't think it was family friendly.
Well, not everything on the show is family friendly.
Okay, you're right.
Some of the people have to grow up in a hurry to be listeners to this show.
That is true, Chris. They do have
right.
to grow up in a hurry. All right,
yeah.
that's really all I got. I thought I had more. I was very confident about this segment until we got into it.
Yeah. All right. We'll give you a quick update on the NCAA tournament scoreboard. We told you just moments ago, Dayton finished with a 24-4 run over the last 7 minutes to wipe out a 17-point deficit and beat Nevada 63-60. Oregon beat South Carolina 87-73. So another win for the Pac-12 and another win for the 11 seed. Earlier today, another 11 seed, Duquesne, surprised BYU 71-67. Everything else went pretty much according to plan. North Carolina beat Wagner 90-62. Arizona by 20 over Long Beach State 85-65. They didn't beat the spread, though. Keyshawn Johnson had 13 points, 5 rebounds in that game for Arizona.
Good for him.
Yeah, well, he's making enough money. He ought to produce. I mean, he took, reportedly a lot of money to go to Arizona. Creighton beat Akron 77-60. Illinois, after a close game for a while, pulled away from Morehead State 85-69. And Michigan State, in a 9-8 matchup, beat Mississippi State 69-51. My record in the bracket is 6-2. I believe Skraby, thanks to that Dayton maniacal comeback, is 7-1. You are. Very good.
I am.
Good start. There's one game that just got started. Colorado State leads Texas 4-2. Obviously, that's early. We'll come back with Chris versus the fans next. If you'd like to play, dial in 833-288-0973. Thanks. And away we go into the 4 o'clock hour. We welcome you back to Gwynn and Chris. Chris, hello. Matt, Skraby together today in our Odyssey Palace studios. Skraby's mind is elsewhere because he's 7-1 in his bracket so far, and he just saw his beloved Dayton Flyers pull out a 63-60 win over Nevada. We got to bring you back into the show now for the last 2 hours.
I'm ready.
Hopefully you'll be with us. Tony Gwynn Jr. is not with us. He's on a long flight from Korea back to San Diego. I believe the Padres get in tonight, 9-10 o'clock, something around there.
Something like that, yeah.
And so they'll be back in town. They'll try to get back on their body clocks tomorrow. Saturday is the celebration of life for Peter Seidler. Sunday is the Padre Fan Fest. Monday and Tuesday, the Padres have exhibition games against the Mariners. Next Wednesday, they're off. Next Thursday, they start the season again against the San Francisco Giants. If you missed it earlier today, Padres pounded out a 15-11 victory over the Dodgers to go 1-1 on the Korean road trip. Big day for Jake Cronenworth, 4 for 4 RBIs. Campusano had 3 hits and 2 ribbies. The Padres scored 5 in the first, 4 in the third. They led 9-2. But they couldn't put it away until Manny Machado slugged, and I mean slugged, a 3-run homer in the top of the 9th inning. That gave them the final 4-run margin. Mookie Betts homered and drove in 6 for the Dodgers. Yamamoto, debut, worth more like $3.25, not $325 million.
That is a good line, Chris.
1 inning. 4 hits, 1 walk, 1 hit batter, 5 runs. And like I said earlier, Dave Roberts was just nice to let him finish the inning because you could see he wanted to just get him out of here, please.
There was a point where he had his hands up on the thing and he just kind of threw them up in the air. Really?
Yeah, it was a bad performance. Max Muncy was especially bad. He had 2 errors today and he boxed 2 other plays that led directly to Padre runs. Max Muncy sucks. All right, we're going to have to put that away because that's a little harsh. Sounds really harsh. There's no context to it when you play it like that.
It's a little harsh, but it's accurate,
I'm glad you're having fun with that. Padres, get ready. Sitting down, I hope, for this statistic. Padres were 10 of 24 today, hitting with runners in scoring position. I don't know that they had 10 hits with runners in scoring position all of last season, or so it seemed.
I haven't been able to find it.
No, but I'm talking about the whole season combined. They didn't seem like they had 10 hits with runners in scoring position.
We talked about it that much last year.
Yeah, they had 10 today, and they evened things up. All right, we're going to play some Chris versus the Fans on the scoreboard. 1 NCAA game going at the moment. They're very early. Colorado State 8, Texas 6. We'll keep you up to date, so keep your brackets handy. But right now, time to give you a chance to qualify for a trip to Las Vegas. Grand prize, if you win the drawing, 2-night stay, Fontainebleau, and dinner for 2. You can immerse yourself in timeless elegance at Fontainebleau, Las Vegas. It's a luxury resort, gaming, and meeting destination. The legacy of Fontainebleau, Las Vegas is built upon more than 70 years of sublime beauty, unparalleled service, timeless design. Book now at FontainebleauLasVegas.com. Let's play Chris versus the Fans.
If you had one shot, one opportunity to take down the human almanac himself,
howdy do.
Now is your time.
Listen to me, this guy is dangerous.
Now is your opportunity to win a prize.
Well, I hope you know what you're in for.
Chris versus the Fans starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, the rules. You have to make it through 3 questions. Each question will get more difficult. If you get the question right, you move on. If you get it wrong and Chris gets it right, you're eliminated. But if Chris gets it wrong, then you move on to the next question or you win. If you're a first-time player, let us know before you get into the first question, and you will get that question for free today. All right. We had a first player winner yesterday, didn't we, Chris? It was either first or second player winner.
Solid performance. I believe it was Lance yesterday.
Lance, that's right.
Turned in a very good performance.
Good
and won Chris versus the Fans. I've been missing a lot of these questions lately, so that's a good time for you to play.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times if I'm missing, you can advance even if you don't know the answer. There's other times when I'm just like on fire and I don't miss anything and everybody gets eliminated. But lately, you've been stumping me. And I know that makes you very happy.
It does.
Yeah, almost
a little too much.
Almost as happy as a 4-out save by Robert Suarez made you today.
That made me jump for joy this morning.
I know it did.
Made me jump for joy.
Yes, you should have sent a tweet directly. You should have DM'd Josh Hader with that news.
Oh, I think all the responses that I got notified Josh Hader
yes,
of
they
everything.
Did. Yes.
I don't actually think he's on Twitter, which is pretty smart on his part. But anyway. All right, let's go to our first contestant today, Scott in San Diego. What's up, Scott?
Hey, guys. How are you?
Very good, Scott. Very good.
You ready to go?
Yes, sir.
Let's play ball.
Here we go. Question number 1. Well, if you were listening the other day, I messed this up. What is the mascot for Alabama Birmingham?
Their nickname.
Their nickname, yeah, not mascots.
Not mascot. What's their nickname? Team the Aztecs play tomorrow. UAB.
I have no idea.
You don't know?
Uh-oh.
Well, that's going to cost you.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah. Skraby said they were the Dragons, which is incorrect.
Well, their logo is a dragon.
But they're called the Blazers. So, if nothing else, Scott, you at least will take that information with you into the game tomorrow when the Aztecs play the Blazers.
That is absolutely true.
Very good.
All right, let's move on to our next contestant. Let's go to Trevor. What's up, Trevor?
Hi, Trevor.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Welcome in.
Are you ready to go?
I'm ready. I got my buddy next to me, Tyler. He's going to help me out.
All
Trevor
right,
and Tyler.
Tyler. Trevor and Tyler. Here we go. Question number 1. In the movie Mr. 3000, what team does Bernie Mac's character play for?
The Brewers.
The Brewers is correct.
I was going to say that was not an easy one. But,
really? You don't think so?
I don't think everybody knows that movie.
I love that movie.
You do?
It's great. I love it.
I'm glad you do.
You know, there is some rumor that it was like the character was kind of based on Tony Gwynn, which doesn't make me happy.
Oh, on Tony Sr.
Because Mr. 3000, all that stuff.
But Tony Gwynn Jr., no. Or Tony Gwynn Sr.,
yes.
No.
Well, that was what the rumor was. They based his character off of that.
Very loosely and just not accurate. So don't put that in people's minds.
Oh, my gosh.
It's way off.
How do you know that, though?
I do. Because I know Tony Gwynn.
But, okay. You're taking this
I know
very seriously.
Yeah, I am. Because I think you're throwing something out there that doesn't need to be out there.
But you're saying it's not a fact when you don't actually know that.
But you don't know it's a fact. But now the fact that you threw it out there, every time people watch the movie Mr. 3000, they're going to think, is this based on Tony Gwynn Sr.? And I don't like you putting that out there.
Sorry about this, Trevor and Tyler. Let's get to our second question. Who holds the rookie record for home runs in a season set in 2019?
Pete Alonso.
Pete Alonso. Wow, is correct. That was pretty good.
You know something, Trevor? You might want to at least take a half of a breath before you answer.
You're answering too quick for our liking.
No, we're not.
No,
You're doing great.
Do it.
Yeah.
You're doing great. He wants to wrap it up right here, so let's see if he can do it.
Question number 3.
I have a feeling he's gonna do it.
What team did Yoshinobu Yamamoto play for when he was with the Nippon Professional Baseball League in Japan?
I only really know one team. I'm going to go with the Giants.
The Giants.
Goes with the Giants.
Stay there.
Yeah, I don't know. So.
Oh, they said it a couple times during the game.
I didn't. I don't turn the sound up, especially
That's a good call.
on a lot of these broadcasts. All right, but I do know some names of some teams, so I could, maybe guess it right. The Mariners, Chiba Latte Mariners.
I do love that name, Chiba Latte.
Yeah, I don't know.
The Mariners.
No, Trevor's a winner right off the bat.
Trevor,
well done.
stay there.
He's a good contestant, so I don't mind losing to a guy like that. Yeah, I don't know, where did Yamamoto play?
He was an Oryx Buffalo.
An Oryx Buffalo.
For his entire career, I think.
His whole career, I've never heard of the Oryx Buffalo, so I couldn't even have guessed them.
Well, yeah, I'm looking right now. Oryx Buffalo, yep.
Okay, good.
He's good. He's
Very good. Good question. Trevor, good contestant. You qualify for a chance to go to Las Vegas. Good for you. That's a quick edition of Chris versus the Fans today is what that is.
That is a really quick addition to
that's
Chris
what you
versus
get
the
for
Fans.
asking tough questions. Then the game is over too soon. Little National Football League news for you today. There's always some news. Although the signings have slowed down. Is that because everybody already signed, Skraby, or is there anybody?
Well, Jordan Montgomery's still out there.
I'm talking about the NFL. I don't believe Jordan Montgomery is an
I'm
NFL
sorry,
player.
I'm flustered now.
No, because you're still watching, the basketball.
No, I'm not.
Am I going to have to turn off the TVs?
You can't handle turning off the TVs.
Well, but I can also do the show while they're on.
You're
not showing that ability right now.
I'm not watching TV right now.
All right.
I'm not watching TV. The NFL, though, I mean, yeah, most of those guys are already signed. So now it's just like undrafted players, ancillary players.
Are you still doing your draft research?
Oh, yeah.
Draft is coming up
April
about
27th, I think.
Oh, really? We got more than a month.
Yeah, let me make sure.
I just wish the draft would be tomorrow so we didn't have to keep hearing previews of the draft.
There's a lot of them.
That would be something I would appreciate. We talked to you the other day about the NFL going to be looking at some rule changes, potentially.
Yes.
Changing the kickoff, the alignment on the kickoff. They haven't voted on that yet, so we don't know. But the NFL officials, referees, have jumped in on the proposal to outlaw the hip drop tackle.
Okay.
As gatekeepers of the game, this is something that we have to remove, said Troy Vincent, NFL's executive vice president. He's a former player. So they're coming after this hard. The hip drop is when you grab a guy around the midsection, and then you drop to the ground and pull them with you.
Yeah, use your weight.
We've seen a lot of people get hurt on that tackle. So is there any part of you that thinks that this is kind of leading to the wussification of the game at all? The NFL has outlawed a whole lot of stuff.
I think I kind of agree with this one.
Quarterbacks can't get touched. The whole thing. There are still some people who just want to see these guys just take each other's heads off every Sunday.
I don't know if I'm that guy anymore.
Okay.
But I do think that this is a good thing to ban because it does seriously injure these guys. And it can cause career-ending injuries. If you break your leg, you're a running back.
You don't want to lose all the good players.
Yeah, that's a good point, Chris.
So
you really don't want to lose all the good players.
All right. So we'll see where that goes. They're going to vote on it in the next, coming weeks. But the one to look out for is that kickoff rule.
Yes.
They're going to change the way the kickoffs look, and it's going to look like something you've never seen before unless you're a former XFL fan.
I tweeted it out yesterday, the picture that Chris picked out so you could see an example. But I also read yesterday, we were talking a couple days ago, and I said, I bet you Odell Beckham Jr. is going to be a Miami Dolphin. And the rumors were that he's visiting with the team and he's talking about joining the Miami Dolphins. And
does he have to?
I don't know how much he has left.
What do we need a guy that's going to make 6 catches all season for?
That's a great
Seems
point.
a waste.
That is a great point.
And plus, he's going to demand, multi-million dollars.
He will. Yeah.
I know.
He can't get the 15 million or whatever he got last year. He had 500 yards and 3 touchdowns.
You know what? If the Dolphins or any other team is stupid enough to give him that money, that's on them.
Okay.
It's not his fault.
Just like the Dodgers giving Yamamoto all that money.
Well, it didn't look like it was well spent money today. All right. We'll take a break. We'll check some traffic, check the NCAA tournament scoreboard for you when we come back. When Chris continues.
From the 97.3 The
Hey everyone, it's Skraby here for SD Fat Loss, and yes, I am still down 40 pounds thanks to SD Fat Loss, and yes, I am still eating healthy because SD Fat Loss taught me how to eat healthy. They also allowed me to lose weight without, the injections that we've been hearing about, weight loss pills, things like that. I didn't have to use those. Instead, SD Fat Loss has found a way for quick weight loss and lasting weight loss. They're not just concerned with getting you to lose weight during the diet period. They're also concerned with trying to help you maintain your weight after you're done. There's no prepackaged meals, no exercise required, no counting calories. All of the things that are not fun about dieting, you don't really have to do with SD Fat Loss. And I found that out because I just followed their program and I lost 40 pounds. So if you're like me and you were tired of not losing weight when you were dieting, you need to try SD Fat Loss. Call right now to schedule your free consultation, 858-665-3211, or go to sdfatloss.com.
All right, welcome back to the program. 4:20 is the time. Chris Ello, Matt Skraby together today in our Odyssey Palace studios. Tony Gwynn Jr. working his way back from South Korea. Where earlier today, the Padres, much earlier today, it's like 3 a.m, Padres out-hit the Dodgers. The highest scoring game in the history of the Dodger-Padre rivalry. The most runs the Padres have ever scored in a game against the Dodgers. They've been playing the Dodgers for 55 years.
We're aiming for the big cake, man.
Got it today, Fernando. 15-11, Padres beat the Dodgers today. Manny's 3-run homer capped it off in the 9th. Crony. Yeah, can't have him hit in the 3-hole, especially when he goes 4 for 4 with 4 ribbies.
Yeah, I needed 5 ribbies for him to stay there.
Okay, you're going to remove him.
I'm going to remove him after a 4 for 4 performance.
Jackson Merrill had his first 2 big league hits today. 2 for 5, hit one off the fence, like the top of the fence, for a double. Tyler Wade had 2 more hits. He's hitting 600. Good start for him. Camposano had 3 hits, 2 RBIs today. Bogarts, 2 hits, 2 more RBIs for Xander today. And Max Muncy was terrible.
Should I play the clip or no?
Leave it alone for a while.
There's a question on the chat about the game that they want us to answer. And the question is, are we happy that the bats are alive, or are we nervous that the pitching isn't there?
We're happy that the bats are alive.
All right. I agree.
The Dodgers can hit.
Yeah.
They can hit. They kept on coming. 16 hits for the Dodgers. They scored in 6 of 9 innings today. And I didn't expect the Padre bullpen would be as good today. Why? Because everybody had to pitch yesterday. Cosgrove pitched again today. Michael King made his debut.
It's probably better for him to make his debut as out of the pen.
But I mean, the Padres, I don't know that this is going to be the way they do this normally. The bottom of the 8th inning, Stephen Kolek made his debut.
Yeah.
With a lead.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's because there was just no one else really available after they used 8 pitchers yesterday.
Yeah, he used a lot of pitchers in the first game.
You know, I expect the Dodgers to score. Padres walked 6 more batters today. Not the best, right?
Got to get that under control.
Got to get your control under control.
Yes, thank you. Are we worried about Joe Musgrove with his poor spring training and now first start?
Nope.
Okay.
Not even in the least.
Not either, but
not even in the least. He 2 2/3 today, allowed 7 hits and 5 runs. But oftentimes you pitch different with a 9-2 lead.
Yeah,
and
you do.
You know, I don't know that you're as locked in as you might be normally. I'm starting to sour on the Mountain West Conference basketball again.
No.
It doesn't take long for me to get sour.
Are they blowing it?
You know, I mean, we already talked about this. Aztecs made their run last year, but other than the Aztecs, Mountain West Conference 0-11 in the tournament the last several years. And this year they get 6 teams in, and I'm like, you know, they got to do something.
Yeah.
Because if they don't, they're not going to let them get all these teams in again.
Yeah, that's
well,
true.
what happens? Boise State looks awful last night. They get knocked out before the tournament even starts, really. Nevada blows a 17-point lead in the last 7 minutes just a little while ago and loses to Dayton.
Showtime!
And now Colorado State just went 8.5 minutes without scoring a point against Texas. And they're trailing by 7 with 5 minutes to go in the first half. So, I mean, it's just, you know, the Aztecs going to have to carry all the weight again tomorrow. I hope they win.
Yeah, of course.
But, I mean, if you get 6 teams in the tournament, you've got to win some games. You don't want to look up on the weekend and there's no Mountain West teams even in the second round.
So you don't get any. Do you get money for appearing in the tournament? But
yes,
you get extra money for a win.
You get money for appearing in the tournament, and then you get money if you win games.
Okay, yeah. Well, I knew about the winning games.
You're thinking about money. I'm thinking about the respect of the league. We feel in the Mountain West Conference like we're overlooked, but it's deserved when you go into the NCAA tournament every year and you don't do anything. It's hard to yell from the mountaintop when Mountain West Conference teams just get boat raced tournament game after game. You got to win some games.
Yeah, when all those people are like, "Oh, the Mountain West stinks," and then they do this, it just makes them right.
So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on this Colorado State game. It's the only game going right now. Texas 18, Colorado State 11. 4 minutes to go in the first half. Colorado State has made 1 field goal in the last 4 hours. It's crazy. They can't hit the broadside of a barn right now.
I mean, they got to have heavy legs, right?
Yeah, they played on Tuesday, but that's
part of the deal.
Nobody's going to use that as an excuse.
Yeah, that's true.
You got to win game. Don't give me an excuse. Win games. Otherwise, we're going to say your conference sucks, and you're not going to be able to argue it.
That's true. I mean, it's true. The results speak for themselves.
Yes, they
Chris.
do. And Dayton just wiped out Nevada's 17-point lead with 7 minutes to go. That was a complete, utter choke job by my buddy Steve Alford.
Why? I mean, why do we think this is? Do we think that the level of basketball is not as high in the Mountain West as we think? Or do they just not play well in the tournament?
Well, I don't know. The Aztecs proved it all wrong last year, right? They went all the way through.
Yeah.
But these other teams have got to do something because it looks bad year after year for Mountain West teams to get knocked around in the tournament. And, so far that's what's happening. But it's early, and I tend to get sour very quickly sometimes.
You do. We're also both kind of tired, I think. Well, I'll just say I'm really tired.
Speak for yourself.
I'm really tired today.
I taped the game last night, DVR'd the game, got up at my normal hour, went for my workout this morning, swam some laps, came back, watched the game. It's not that difficult. I don't know why you had to get up at 3 a.m.
No, I didn't. I actually
didn't have to.
I did to see it for 5 minutes, and then I fell back asleep, and then I woke up at 7 when it was 15-11. But
yes, and you immediately checked the score, which is really mind-boggling. You took the time to DVR a game, I'm assuming because you wanted to watch it.
I was going to fast forward through it like you did. I was going to try your experience.
Yes, but I can do that without – you don't want to know the score before you start watching it. What for?
Like you said earlier.
Seems silly.
It's weird that I do what I do, and for me, it's strange that you do by DVRing things, but I know I'm not in the majority because I like to see the final score.
If you're going to DVR something, it seems silly to then find out the score before you watch it.
My thought is, how did we get here? What happened? And then watching it, I know at some point something's going to happen. I know I'm weird.
Yes,
I'm weird. I'm very weird.
You know what my wife does?
What?
She watches, she does a lot of things, but she watches The Bachelor every season.
Yes.
Or The Bachelorette.
It's season number 30.
Oh, I know. It's been going on forever. But what she does is she gets on the web pages, and she knows where these are. I don't know. But she gets on the web pages. She finds out who the Bachelor picks at the end before she ever starts watching the show.
Wait, like the whole thing?
Yeah, the whole show is taped months in advance.
I thought that was like under lock and key, the results.
Evidently not.
Wow.
She finds out who they choose, and then she watches an entire seasons of show knowing the result. I give her a hard time about this.
I would too.
She says she wants to know. So who am I?
I mean, that's a lot of time you're investing to figure out what happens at the end. But if you already know, I guess for me, it would cut out all the middle.
Who's weirder? Me for DVRing games and not knowing the score and doing everything I can to find out the score, or Skraby for DVRing a game and then knowing the score before he watches it? I mean, I think it's a clear cut case of you being far more weird.
Well, I agree. I am far more weird, but True Canosaur on YouTube says, I checked the score first. Wasn't going to watch if the Dodgers won again, which is smart. But if I was doing this, like the only reason I checked the score is because it was at 3 a.m. and I needed to just know what was happening. If it was a 9 a.m. game or something, I'm not necessarily checking the score. I'm just going to listen on the radio or watch or something like that.
All right, it's crazy. Texas 20, Colorado State 11. Colorado State had 8 points in the first 2 minutes of the game. They've had 3 in the last 17 minutes.
Andros has a good point about you, Chris. He says he thinks you were working harder to keep your thing intact, meaning not knowing the score. I guess I'm not worried about that.
But things worth having are worth working for.
And Chris, for Andros, Chris is also a guy who doesn't necessarily have a cell phone on him all the time. So
I have it nearby. I just don't have to look at it every 6 seconds like the rest of you.
Yeah, I know. It is a problem for me.
Big Five coming up next on Gwynn and Chris. All right, welcome back to Gwynn and Chris. 4:36 is the time. I don't know what's more embarrassing. What happened to Nevada against Dayton? Nevada had a 17-point lead with 7 minutes to go. Got outscored 24-4 down the stretch. Dayton wins the game 63-60. Or what's happened to Colorado State at the end of the first half against Texas. This is pretty awful also. Colorado State missed 19 of its last 20 shots. They scored 3 points in the last 16 minutes. Texas went on a 25-3 run. So Colorado State gives up a 25-3 run. Nevada gives up a 24-4 run. Nevada loses. Colorado State's down 16 at halftime.
Come on, Rams.
Is there any wonder why I'm souring already again on the Mountain West Conference?
I mean, by tomorrow, is San Diego State going to be the only one playing?
I hope so. I hope they're still playing.
Yeah.
I mean, New Mexico and Utah State also play tomorrow. But, I mean, the Mountain West Conference just embarrassing itself in tournament play again, at least so far. 4:38 is the time. Chris Ello back with you. It's 27-11 at halftime. Really? Oakland already has 11 against Kentucky, and they played 7 minutes. It's Oakland 11, Kentucky 9.
What's the Oakland nickname?
Oakland's nickname, the Golden Griffins.
Wow.
Don't you forget it.
I did not know that. That's a good poll, Chris.
Wow.
That is a good poll.
I don't know that anybody can actually double check me on that.
Let's see.
I'm wrong. They're the Golden Grizzlies.
Oh, the Griffins were even better.
Yeah, Golden Grizzlies.
Golden Grizzlies. That's all right.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the Griffins.
All right, 2 games underway right now. We'll keep you up to date on March Madness. Right now, it's not March Madness for me as a Mountain West Conference fan. It's March Maddening. Let's get to traffic in today's Big Five.
From the
And 3 of the fan.
It's that time of the show when we check on the latest in sports. Only the most important topics and questions are brought to light.
Stop what you're doing and listen.
These news stories will astound and amaze you. The one, the only.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
The Big Five starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
Before we get into it, this hour 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by Ashley Furniture. Celebrate and save at Ashley's anniversary sale with Hot Buys, your choice of color, starting at just $399. Ashley Sleep Mattresses starting at $250 plus. Receive a free adjustable base with select mattress purchases only at Ashley. Before we get into it, Chris, I want to shout out someone on the chat, Mr. Davis, who is 13 years old, loves the show, and was up at 3 a.m. to watch the Padres this morning. So
Mr. Davis.
Good for you, Davis. That is awesome.
Davis
yeah, I'm
is
just calling
his
him
first.
Mr.
You're
Davis.
calling him Mr. Davis.
Yeah.
I thought it was.
Yeah, Davis is his first name.
I thought he's like a 9-year-old kid that you're referring to as Mr. Davis.
No, he's 13.
He's 13,
and he's on the chat right now, and he was telling me because I said I couldn't wake up. He said I was awake.
Yeah, you were unable to accomplish that.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Davis.
Mr. Davis.
Thanks for being a part of the show today. Let's get into
Absolutely.
the Big Five, Skraby. What do you have?
Number 5.
So the Aztecs, as we know, get underway tomorrow against UAB. But I had someone ask me an interesting question, and I'm curious for Chris's thoughts on this. But the Aztecs are not being picked to win at all, as we know. But Do you think, Chris, that they have a target on their back after going to the national championship last season?
I don't feel that. I think they had it during the regular season. I think they had it in conference play. I think that everybody gave them their best shot. They got their best from San Jose State. They got the best from Wyoming. I mean, they had some really, really tough games, and hopefully it's hardened them for March Madness. But this year's team's different from last year's team. I don't think UAB is getting any extra motivation over playing a team that was in the finals last year. Just like I don't think anybody's going to get any extra motivation playing UConn. I mean, they're the champs, but you better be motivated regardless, or they're going to blow you right off the court. So, yeah, I don't feel that coming into the tournament. I mean, it was an unbelievable run. If they want to show highlights of Lamont Butler's jumper over and over again, cool with me. But this team's got to make its own story.
It does.
And I don't know that, they're a marked team. I think UConn's marked because they're number one. Purdue, Houston, North Carolina, those number one seeds. That's a target.
Yeah.
The Aztecs are not a target, I don't think.
I agree with you. I do. I think I don't get that feel either. You can kind of feel it when a team has that buzz around them, like we want to take you down. But not to say that teams aren't scared of playing the Aztecs, but I just don't feel that same thing that we've maybe felt in the past. But it's going to be fun tomorrow.
I hope it's going to be fun. I'm already, battening down the hatches for this game tomorrow.
What are you going to be? Okay, now let me ask you this. Are you going to be taping this one?
I will DVR the game, and I'll probably start watching it about a half hour after it actually begins so that I don't have to sit through commercials and, referee discussions over at the table and all of this boring stuff. I just want to watch the game. So I probably won't start watching right away.
All right. I will not text you when
you can, because I won't have my phone in front of my
you'll
face.
Get it after.
Yeah. Most people have to have their phone in front of their face. I do not. I'm not addicted like that.
Number 4.
I'm not addicted like that. You're right. It is a problem for me. You know who is taking being fired really well, Chris? Long Beach State basketball head coach Dan Monson. Here's what he said at his presser about his situation with the team.
You guys see the Seinfeld when George Costanza was trying to get fired and couldn't lose his job and still going to work every day, and that's me. I'm a Seinfeld episode going on right now in real life.
It's true. It kind of is true. Well, his episode ended today. Long Beach State was beaten by Arizona, so they're out. But here's where the question is. Long Beach State's athletic director, who listens to this show when he can, said the timing of his decision to fire Coach Dan Monson was done with the hope it might trigger the exact run that led the team on its unexpected trip to the NCAA tournament. Bobby Smitherin said, quote, "My belief and hope is that by doing what I did and the timing of it, they would play inspired, and that's what they did. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but it worked," end quote. I'm up first. What are your thoughts on this comment? I love that Mr. Smitherin listens, but we have to be honest, and I'm going to be honest. And I think this is maybe a poorly timed comment because I don't know that anyone thinks by firing a coach it's going to rally the team. And maybe he knows the players, maybe he knows the program a little bit better, and then he can determine that this would help them. I feel like it's again, a poorly timed comment. Chris?
I just think it's a odd response to the question, why did you fire your coach before the tournament, before the conference tournament?
Yeah.
And then keep him on as coach.
Yeah.
Why did you do this? I think it's kind of an odd choice of words to say, oh, well, I was thinking all along that the best thing would be to fire him now so the players would get fired up and hate me and, play inspired basketball. And that's what they did. And then honestly, the comment, "I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but it worked." That comment is doing exactly what you're saying you're not trying to do, which is patting yourself on the back. And for him to take any credit for what Long Beach State did during this nice run they put together, just misplaced. misplaced. Sorry, Bobby. Love you.
Yes, please keep listening.
Yeah, right. Might have just lost the listener, but
we can't just because we know the guy.
You can't say I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but it worked.
Yeah.
Because that's what you're doing is you're taking credit for this. And you're an athletic director, and I'm sorry, you don't get credit for what these kids just did.
Now, Dan Monson also said that he is not he doesn't have to answer questions that he doesn't want to because he's not being paid. Is that true?
I don't know.
Like once they terminate your contract, do you stop getting paid?
I'm not sure.
Maybe he was joking.
I don't know how that all worked out, but
yeah, it was. I will give this to him. In a really good mood about being fired. Gotta say.
Number 3.
The thing is we're looking at it from a point where, Bobby Smitheren's a guy that I know because he works at San Diego State and he used to listen to the show when he lived here. But I ran into him. They stayed at our hotel in Vegas a couple weeks ago. I talked to him.
Yeah.
So we're looking at it from really close. From really far away, it looks even worse on the athletic director to say what he said. And it doesn't look all that great that he fired this guy in the first place based on how well Long Beach State played.
Yeah.
So if you were trying to fire him because you wanted to light a fire into the team, by firing him and then having him do what he did from the outside looking in, it puts you even in a worse light. So everything to me backfired on Bobby Smitheren, even though he's trying to twist it around here and say that everything worked just as he planned. I kind of find that a little hard to buy.
Yeah, if this was like maybe Stetson's athletic director, I might say some.
Yes, you'd probably be a little more harsh. Yes,
harsher words.
Yeah,
but I think we said what we needed to say.
Number 3.
The Houston Dash and NWSL team fired former goalkeeper coach Matt Lampson, according to an NWSL spokesperson, following an investigation into allegations that he had, quote, crossed professional boundaries with a Dash player, which violates multiple league policies. Lampson has been suspended from future employment in the NWSL through the end of the 2024 season due to these violations and a lack of full cooperation with the investigation, the spokesperson added. There are strict rules against coaches having relationships with players, even if it is a consensual relationship. Chris, it's against the rules, yes. So the firing is just, but do you think this is a fireable offense?
I do.
Okay.
I just don't think it's the right. This is a really bad look. It's a really bad look to be the coach and be having
a goalkeeper coach. It's not the head
coach.
Yeah.
Any coach. It's a bad look. I was taught a long time ago, Skraby, do not dip your pen in company ink. It is a really good strategy with which to live your life. You don't have to follow it. It's not against the law if you do it. It just works a whole lot better when you don't.
Yes, you're right.
All right, so I'll leave it at that.
As a guy who did date a coworker and it blew up in my face, yeah, this is not good. You probably should not be fraternizing with players because that can lead to some bad things. Like, what if you break up horribly and then now you got a player on the team that you're trying to coach, but they hate you because you guys broke up or whatever?
Well, let's move beyond that. Let's not even say that they have a relationship outside of, their relations. It's going to get back to the other players.
Yeah.
And it's going to take away whatever respect you had as a coach before that. It's pathetic is
Chris
what it is.
Way smarter than me today.
Number 2.
Ronda Rousey, one of the most influential stars in UFC history, revealed this week.
Wait a minute, I'm only smarter than you today?
I was waiting for something, and then it never came.
Yeah.
She revealed this week that she retired from mixed martial arts primarily because of a history of concussions. She retired from MMA at the age of 29 in 2016 after back-to-back knockout losses to Holly Holm and Amanda Nunes. During an Instagram Live to promote her upcoming release of her memoir, Our Fight, Rousey, who is now 37, said a long history of concussions suffered in her previous sport, judo, contributed to her decision to leave MMA. She said she was at her peak physically, but the concussion stopped her from continuing her career. Now, I read a little bit more about this, and it seems like she's saying judo caused these things, but people say UFC is also a very tough sport as well. I'm up first. Do you think down the road we'll be talking about the UFC or mixed martial arts like the NFL? I certainly hope not, because that means people are going to be suffering and people are going to have some bad head injuries. But I don't see how. I've always cringed when I've seen a UFC guy get knocked out and then they just keep getting punched until the referee like steps over it and stops the fight. It makes me cringe. And what I've heard from the NFL people and the NFL doctors, what makes the concussion worse is when you have multiple strikes in a short period of time. And that's exactly what fighting is. So I do think one day we're going to be talking about this. And I don't know that the UFC is really doing much, but I'm not educated enough to say for sure, Chris.
If you think we're going to have UFC fighting without people getting concussions and having long-term effects, you're kind of silly, aren't you? I mean, these guys are I want to go back to Tony's word. They're pummeling each other
yes.
on a regular basis. The same as in boxing. The same happens in football. Concussions are going to be the result. I think you got to be, smart enough going into these sports to know that it's a very real possibility. And I'm not going to outlaw the sport because people are smart enough to make up their own minds whether they want to go into it.
Yeah.
If no one wanted to do it, the sport would go away. And that would be it. But there's people who are more than willing to sacrifice whatever might come later to step into the octagon now. There's also another sport that I saw on Twitter last week. Don't know if you've seen this one yet, Skraby. You probably have because you're more active on these things than I am. It is the World Slap a Person in the Face as Hard as You Possibly Can Championships.
Hey, do you know who owns that?
Who owns it?
Yeah.
I don't.
Dana White,
Well,
UFC president.
there you go.
CEO.
All
I
right.
believe it's the slapping
But
one.
again, I mean, these people just sit there. They look at each other face to face. You have to let the other person just basically rock the side of your face as hard as they possibly can.
That is crazy.
And then after you take one, you're allowed to give one back if you've survived the first one. But again, I don't blame Dana White for this. He's putting it out there. People don't have to do it.
Yep. It's like football. If you don't want to get a concussion, don't play football. It's your choice.
It is.
It's not like they're forcing you to do it.
We should protect people to the extent where we are giving them the knowledge that we are now giving.
Yes.
And at least we're doing that, which we never really did before. We just swept it under the rug.
We did.
So we are giving you the knowledge. If you still choose to participate, it's on you, as far as I'm concerned.
I agree. As a drunken idiot back in the day, I used to do these slap fights with friends, and I can't even tell you how many times I felt like I had a concussion from these things. And there's also a show called How I Met Your Mother, and they have slap bets, and so when you lose a bet, that person gets to slap you as hard as they can whenever they want, wherever they want. So it could be like a wedding or something like that. So we would do that too, like idiots. But it's dangerous. Dangerous. Very dangerous.
I'm
not a smart guy, Chris. I told you. Is that what you're about to say?
I'm going to leave it at that.
Okay. We need to get into JB Bickerstaff, but we do not have time to play his full clip. And it's a serious thing. So I think that we should do that on the other side so we can actually devote some real time to
Is that
this.
the number one?
That is the number one. And
let's hold off on
yeah,
that.
and he's not happy with how things have gone.
Well, this is a really dangerous place that the NBA, should have seen coming. I mean, and so should the NFL see this coming. And so should Major League Baseball see this coming. And everybody else who's crawled into bed with all of these betting
absolutely
people.
They need to do something about
this
it. This
story is not surprising to me. It was only a matter of when. And now it's come out. So let's see where we go. We'll tell you what it is and what it all means when we kick off the happy hour. Also coming up in the happy hour, an interview we did a little earlier in the week with Elijah Saunders of the Aztecs to get you in the mood for tomorrow's Aztec UAB NCAA tournament game. It's all coming up on Gwynn and Chris. Kicking off the happy hour here on Gwynn and Chris, final hour of our Thursday program. NCAA March Madness continues. We'll update the scoreboard for you here in just a moment as we start hour number 4. Chris Ello, Matt Skraby together in our Odyssey Palace studios. Tony Gwynn Jr., of course, working his way back home. He's aboard the Big Bird from South Korea.
The Big Bird,
with the Padres. That. Padres with a 15-11. Yeah, that score is correct. The Padres outscored Colorado State's basketball team, at least in the first half. Padres put 15 on the board, the most they've ever scored in a game against the Dodgers. And they got a split of the 2-game series. So good on the Padres. Might hear a little from Mike Schilt in the next segment.
Yes.
Some of his comments on the Padre victory today. Quite impressive as it was. How's your bracket out there? 8 games are done. Are you 8-0?
No.
Somebody might be. Well, I think we had 3 people out of the 100+ that are in our contest that are still 8-0. So.
Peter, Dan, and Valerie.
Good for them.
Yes.
Skraby's 7-1. It's doing all right. My wife is 7-1. She's always doing all right in the bracket.
What are you?
6-2, which is doable. I'll accept that.
Yeah, that's fine.
3 games really stood out in the early session. First, Duquesne, my new second favorite team in college basketball. The Dukes knocked out my nemesis, all of our nemesis, BYU, 71-67. Good on Duquesne. Their first NCAA tournament game in 47 years, and they won it. Another 11 seed, Oregon, won easily over South Carolina, 87-73.
Talk about the hot team.
Yeah, Oregon's looking good right now. They're on a roll. And then really the stunning comeback of Dayton, down 17 points to Nevada with 7 minutes to go. Dayton somehow closed the game on a 24-4 run and pulled out victory 63-60. Everything else went pretty much according to plan in the earlier games. Games right now, this isn't going to plan. 14th seed Oakland leads number 3 Kentucky 31-28.
I feel like Kentucky does this all the time.
Yeah, they lost to St. Peter's a couple of years ago. Right now, Oakland giving Kentucky a problem. Iowa State leads South Dakota State 22-14 first half. Gonzaga leads McNeese 20-12 first half. And second half, Texas now 29, Colorado State 15. Colorado State was so miserable, missing 19 of its final 20 shots in the first half. Texas went on a 25-3 run to turn that game into a bit of a runaway.
I'm cheering for Colorado State in the second half. I think they can do it.
Well, they're going to have to make a shot somewhere.
Oh, well, if Texas starts missing shots like that one, here we go.
Do me a favor, stop watching and finish the show. Well, here we go. We've lost him again.
No, I'm not watching.
You're the one that said I'm crazy about the March Madness, but you're the one that can't take your eye off the games. All right, let's finish up the Big Five because this gambling story with the Cleveland Cavaliers coach is one that I think has got to be dealt with.
Yes.
Number 1.
So, as we said before the break, we're talking about sports betting a lot lately, and it's with some different news stories. Cough, cough, Shohei Ohtani, cough, cough. But Cavaliers head coach J.B. Bickerstaff had some things to say the other day about his experiences as being a head coach and how that in betting and bet tours, and here's what he said.
I personally have had my own instances with, some of the sports gamblers where, they got my telephone number and were sending me, crazy messages about, where I live and my kids and all that stuff. So it is a dangerous game and a fine line that we're walking for sure. It brings added pressure. It brings, a distraction to the game that can be difficult for players, coaches, referees, everybody that's involved in it. And I think that, we really have to be careful, with how close we let it get to the game and the security of the people who are involved in it, because, again, it does carry a weight. A lot of times the people who are gambling, like this money, pays their light bill or pays their rent. And then the emotions that come from that. So I do think we're walking a very fine line.
And there you go, J.B. Bickerstaff making some really great points there. Very scary for him, very scary for his family, but I think he's 100% right. Chris, will professional sports leagues look into this or just keep plowing ahead?
They'll probably keep plowing ahead with lip service to the fact that they're looking into it.
We're very concerned as well.
Yeah. This really concerns us. They'll do things like fining Rudy Gobert $100,000 because he gave a money signal to the official in a game a month or so ago. And then he was asked about it, and he said, well, I'm just implying that gambling is a big deal in influencing the outcome of some of these games, and it's something that we need to look into. But nobody wants to hear that.
Yeah.
Because they're making too much money from gambling. I will credit J.B. Bickerstaff for sharing this. He didn't have to. He shared it, that he's been threatened and he's felt for his safety. But I don't think he was strong enough in his comments. I think his comments needed to be stronger. He said it's a dangerous game and a fine line we're walking. That's a very polite way of saying we better do something about this before somebody gets hurt, gets killed, or worse. I don't know what's worse. Or a game actually gets fixed, and then the NBA, and we're focused on the NBA here, but this could go for any sport. You don't throw this football game on Saturday afternoon, we're going to hurt your family. I mean, this is what the danger you get when you get involved with this kind of stuff. I know I am harping and on.
No, you're right.
But I'm really worried about it's not affecting my daily life watching games. I still enjoy it. But as I said before, if there was a huge, not a controversy, but a huge situation where games were found to be fixed and sports was no longer could be trusted as being on the up and up, it could take sports down. That's the only thing.
It could.
So the leagues will keep plowing ahead to answer your question. And they'll pay some lip service. They'll go, oh, yeah, we're worried about it too.
They better do something about it, because if anything ever happens to any player's family, any coach's family, that is going to be
it's going to be too late.
It's
going to be too late to do something about it then, because then something awful will have already happened.
And this happens in our society. We have to have something bad happen before we put in rules to make sure that it doesn't happen. I think we are coming to a point where we need to start making laws against this. And I know you can have burner phone numbers, and I know it's a waste of time to some people for law enforcement to be looking for this stuff. But that to me is a threat. That is a death threat. It doesn't matter that it came from a cell phone and a text message of a burner phone. I take those things very seriously. And I think we need to rethink a lot of things about how we're able to just say whatever we want with no repercussions.
How about J.B. Bickerstaff going on to say that the amount of times where I'm standing on the sideline and we have a 10-point lead and the spread is 11 and people are screaming at me to leave my guys in so that we can cover the spread. That's exactly what's going to keep happening.
It's like fantasy football. When people fumble twice in a game, I think it was Alexander Madison, got death threats in his Instagram, got horrible racial slurs said about him in his Instagram. I just don't understand it, and it's very scary to me.
I understand it.
Well, yeah, I understand. But it's scary. It's very scary to me, because we're going to get to a point where someone's going to be killed or injured because someone lost a bet. And it's going to be sad, and then we're all going to move on.
I am going to tell you, I told you so ahead of time, because like I said, the story does not surprise me. It was just a matter of when. I'm glad he brought it up. I hope they do look into it. I hope they're able to do a little something about it. But these are athletes. These are coaches. They have families. They're people. They're just playing a game, and you're betting on it. So it means everything to you. And those kinds of things are starting to happen. It's going to be, I don't know, it's a big concern. It should be a much bigger concern than it is. And you can't tell me that you're concerned about it when you sign another multi-bazillion-dollar deal with FanDuel.
Good point.
You just can't tell me that it really concerns you.
You can't take money and then punish players for making the money sign. It's just so backwards. So backwards. You're not teaching anyone anything when you're taking billions of dollars in one hand and then handing out fines in the other
How
hand.
bad have things gotten when I'm on Rudy Gobert's side about something?
That is true. We do not like Rudy after his whole COVID thing. That's just bad stuff. It's just bad. And you know what, Chris? One other thing. If you're gambling and you feel like it's the coach's fault, take a look at yourself. Look at deep inside yourself and figure out why you're gambling, because that is the actual issue. It's not the coach. Ridiculous.
All right. We'll take a break. When we come back, Padres beat the Dodgers today 15-11. I don't know what the spread was. I'm sure they went over the total number of runs scored. 26 on the board, the highest scoring Padre-Dodger game ever. What did Mike Schilt have to say about it afterwards? We'll hear from him before he stepped on the plane to leave South Korea. Also still ahead, a look ahead to tomorrow morning's Aztec UAB game. A visit with Aztec forward Elijah Saunders. Traffic now.
From the
I'll have to memorize what you've done. 4 games in progress right now. Second half, Texas 37, Colorado State 27. Rams have worked their way back in it a little. They were down by 16 at the half because they missed 19 of their last 20 shots before halftime. It was an ugly display. At halftime, how about this one? 14 seed Oakland, the Golden Grizzlies, leading number 3 seed Kentucky 38-35. A couple of first half scores going along as you might expect. Gonzaga leads McNeese 28-17. Iowa State leads South Dakota State 38-28. Earlier today, if you're just tuned in, BYU lost. That's enough to put me in a good mood. Duquesne knocked off the Cougs 71-67. Oregon made it 2 wins for an 11 seed as they beat South Carolina 87-73. The game of the day so far saw Dayton rally from 17 down in the final 7 minutes to upend Nevada 63-60. On to baseball we go, where the Padres beat the Dodgers 15-11. Yeah, you heard that right, 15-11. Skraby saw it on his phone, didn't believe the score could be true.
It's true.
But it was true. Big games. Jake, 4 for 4, 4 ribs. Campusano, 3 hits, 2 RBIs. Jackson Merrill had his first 2 career hits. Bogarts, 2 hits, 2 RBIs. And Manny finished it off with a 3-run bomb in the 9th inning after the Padres had let a 9-2 lead slip to 12-11, mostly because Mookie Betts homered and drove in 6. My goodness.
He's really good.
He's all right.
He's really good.
Then Manny hit the 3-run homer, top of 9. Robert Suarez with a 4-out save, something Josh Hader's not familiar with. Max Muncy.
Wait a second. I heard that one.
What?
Something that Josh Hader is not.
Yeah, well, it's true. He's not.
Well, now he is because he got his bag, as they say.
Yeah. Max Muncy was particularly bad today. 2 errors for the Dodgers and 2 more misplays that were ruled hits, including a ground ball down the line by Campusano that Muncy knocked into foul territory for a double.
And then he just stood there and watched it roll down the line.
Yeah, he didn't even go pick up the ball.
Not even once. He just stood there.
What did I say about Max Muncy earlier in the show, Scrape?
Well, if you
can't believe you don't have it handy.
Well, you told me not to have it handy.
I know you've been playing it all day long.
This is what Chris said earlier.
Max Muncy sucks. I'm only speaking for all Padre fans out there because I know you all hate him. And today was a good day if you're a Max Muncy hater. After the game, Mike Schilt talking about the Padres' performance. One of the things he was focusing on was their ability to continue scoring today.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, staying hungry, keep having a good at-bats, be the best at getting better. Guys were hungry, great at-bats the whole way through. I mean, basically go down the whole lineup, starting with Bogey. He set the tone. Toddy, great at-bats. Crony, what a day, man. Lays out 4 ropes and sac fly. Manny with the big homer to give us some space that we, was nice to have. And, of course, Campy had a nice day, and Jackson Merrill had by that first knock. So just relentless. Loved it.
Yeah, something a manager would definitely love, a 17-hit attack that included 2 doubles by Campusano, a double by Merrill, a triple by Cronenworth, and the first Padre home run of the year by Manny in the 9th inning. Hassan Kim had his first stolen base today as well. Padres did it from every angle. Not pictured, Tyler Wade with 2 more hits, now batting .600.
Ooh, that's a good average right there.
Yeah, that'll work.
Through 2?
Through
Amazing.
2. Tyler Wade.
Average.
All right, Padres jumped on the very rich Dodger pitcher, Yoshinobu Yamamoto.
Nice job.
Yeah, he's got a lot of money. Didn't have a lot of stuff today, though. Padres treated him rudely. 1 inning, 4 hits, 5 runs, 1 walk, 1 hit batter. Mike Schilt was asked if the Padres had any specific plan to attack Yamamoto.
Yeah, we talked before the game. Scan asked a question about, what we'd seen and looked for. And, we just look for basically, ball up the middle of the plate and put a good swing on him. And guys had good approaches and good at-bats.
Okay, and the other one was about Robert Suarez. How important was it for him to come back?
Robert Suarez got the 4-out save, but here's the thing on Yamamoto, because they ripped him badly today. There's no question, but he was throwing pitches right in the middle of the strike zone.
They were meatballs.
You can't do that in Major League Baseball, whether you make $325 million or $3 million. You throw it in the middle, these big league hitters are going to punish you. And that was the story for Yamamoto today. Sorry to say, you Yamamoto fans out there.
How many of those are in our audience?
12.
I mean,
I've counted our entire audience. There's 12.
I don't even know if there's that many in our audience.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you that there'll be at least 12, because at least 12 listeners will wind up with him on their fantasy teams some way or another.
Okay, let's talk
so they
about
will
this,
then
Chris.
be fans.
We're going to be in the same fantasy baseball league this year.
Mm-hmm.
He comes up and it's a good spot. You taking him?
I don't know. I'm not giving you my draft strategy. I don't know. It depends who else is available.
Chris answer.
Did the Padres make a statement to the rest of the NL West today? Mike Schilt was asked. After all, everybody thought the Dodgers would just win 162 games.
Major League Baseball did.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's two good teams going at each other. Hard fought yesterday, hard fought today. Ended up leaving here 1-1. It was a good battle. So, clearly good games, and we did our part for sure. We're going to continue to just compete against how we play the game, play the Padre baseball.
The one thing that it's one win, and it's nice to have. But let me ask you this, Skraby. Other than the famous playoff series, right, which we'll never forget.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll always have the upper hand on the Dodgers for that. The Dodgers have destroyed the Padres. How many, I don't have it in front of me anymore, but I know I had it last year at some point. How many regular seasons in a row have the Dodgers won the season series?
Gosh.
Like 13 straight years, something like that?
Something insane.
It's ridiculous. And last year, what'd they play? 13 games? Dodgers won 9, 10.
10
the year
probably.
before, they played 18 games. The Dodgers won 14 or 15. I mean, they have destroyed the Padres. So just the fact that the Padres got a win, even one, is a step in the right direction. It doesn't mean you're, sizing World Series rings, but I mean, the Dodgers have owned the Padres, and I know that the Padre fans always say, oh, yeah, but what about the playoff series? Yeah, I got it. I mentioned it, but you still can't argue that the truth of the matter, which has been the season series, have been a joke. It hasn't even been close.
And then, the last win that I can remember in the regular season is the win with the Kershaw meme. It's the last one I can think of.
Yeah, they won a few more last year.
They did.
Yeah, the Kershaw meme kicked off a stretch of like 7 straight Dodger wins over the Padres.
Well, it was because they were mad.
Yeah.
I think this.
I hope nobody put up a Yamamoto meme on the way home today.
I don't think so.
Let's learn our lesson.
I think what this series did tell us and all of baseball fans is that the Dodgers have some roster concerns that they need to work on if they're going to be this dominant team. I know it's 2 games through. I don't
think they have roster concerns. They have defense concerns.
Okay, defense.
Their
concerns.
defense
That's
is
fair.
terrible.
That's fair.
Their defense is absolutely terrible, and they're going to have to overcome that night after night after night with pitching and hitting. And you know what? Your pitching is going to suffer when your defense is that bad.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
That's going to cost LA. And I don't know what they're going to do with Max Muncy. Just leave him over at third base and just let him be terrible.
They can't keep him there, and they're already. Well,
what are they going to do?
I don't know if this
they're
is true.
They're going to put him on first base. Freddie Freeman's there. They're not going to put him at DH. Shohei's there.
I saw in the
chat. They got to keep Muncy at third and just suffer.
And I don't know if it's true or not, but they're possibly talking Mookie at third. I can't believe that would be
what.
It.
And then what? Muncy's going to go to short?
I don't know what's going to. Gavin Lux goes back to short. Muncy goes to second.
Yeah. To chat's just.
They may
grasping.
be wrong on that one. They may be wrong on that one.
They are.
But it was nice to see them bounce back because last year they get beat in that game. I don't know that we have confidence in them the following day.
Well, it's one game. That's all it is. But it was nice.
And I'm pumped up.
Yes, you are.
Yes.
A 7:47 to go. Colorado State trying to make a a belated comeback here. Still down 7 to Texas, which is better than where they were, but they still got some work to do. Score, Texas 39, Colorado State 32, 7:30 to play. Gwynn and Chris coming back. Elijah Saunders of the Aztecs looking ahead to tomorrow's game against UAB.
Ben and
Tomorrow morning at 10:45, the Aztecs take center stage in the March Madness tournament. I said it the other day, Skraby, we're just lucky that they're there every year now. We take it for granted practically. We shouldn't. It's not easy. No guarantee. I mean, there's 68 teams that make it. Sounds like a lot until you consider there's 340 Division I schools.
That is
so. Congrats to Dutcher and these guys coming back after last year's magical run, losing as much talent as they lost, and being able to get back to the tournament again.
I mean, how does he do it? How does he continue to bring in talent like he does? Because it's like you said, it's every single year. And even the best colleges have 1 year where they're not good enough to make it.
Well, a lot of it is, his ability to relate to kids. After all, Brian Dutcher recruited many of the players in the Fab Five.
Is that right? I didn't know that he recruited them.
He worked for Steve Fisher.
No, that's true. That's true.
He said he followed Juwan Howard around for an entire year one time. Make sure he got him. I mean, that's only the greatest recruiting class in college basketball history. Brian Dutcher doesn't get all the credit. He wouldn't want to take it all. But he certainly deserves some of it.
Yeah, he does.
He's just real good. He's real good at dealing with people. And then once he gets them, he's real good at motivating them and figuring out what makes them tick.
I've only had like 2 or 3 instances of being with Brian Dutcher and just like not in a press conference setting. And he just makes you feel like you're an important person. He makes you feel like he's actually talking to you and not just, having small talk or anything like that.
To me, it's a simple equation. Do not act any holier than thou that you are. Just be a guy.
Yep.
That's what Brian Dutcher is. He's just a guy.
That is true.
And he deflects all of the attention to these kids.
Every time.
So anyway, I'm hoping that we get another run. I understand it. If we don't, it's hard to get a run in the NCAA tournament. Like what happened last year. I said it at the time. Might be a once in a lifetime.
Vibes are good right now.
But, let's see if we can't get something started tomorrow.
What did Jayden Ledee say after the first win in the Mountain West tournament? This is March. This is what we do.
Yeah.
And then they lost, I guess.
They also have to shoot better.
Yes,
you can say everything you want to say. You still have to put the ball in the basket.
We need like a Jordan Shackle to come out of retirement to shoot some threes. Who was what was his name? His name was Max something. Can't remember. He shot a bunch of threes
for the Aztecs.
Yeah, it was like 5-6 years ago. But
yeah.
he made a bunch of threes.
Yeah.
I mean, aren't they known as a 3-shooting team?
No,
they're known as a defensive team.
Yes, they are. They had the lowest 3-point shooting percentage in the conference.
Okay, great.
And we've seen teams like Colorado State and Boise State in this tournament who can't hit the broadside of the barn.
That's true.
The Aztecs are worse than them.
I saw a layup just completely missing this Colorado State game. Like wide open layup.
Texas 46, Colorado State 38, 3:46 to go. Still time, but the Rams need a bit of a miracle at this point. All right, Elijah Saunders. He's a guy that can shoot, when he gets going. He's had some hot streaks. He's had some cold streaks. Hopefully he'll be blowing hot starting tomorrow. I'll tell you one thing. He did a great job in our interview, and I know you'll enjoy meeting this young man ahead of tomorrow's game after traffic.
From the
And that seems to really kind of work for you. Talk a little bit about your journey, personal journey this season.
Yeah. Even as you go into last season, coming from high school, always starting all those years, and then not even touching the court for the end of the season last year, and it felt like no one had seen me play, like especially my family, like. I feel like it had been so long since my family had seen me play. So, I wanted to start this year. That was my goal, even though, not many people might have thought I would have started in that Fullerton game. That was my goal. But, starting, I thought it was going to, be the greatest thing ever, make me the happiest person ever. But, that's not what it's all about. It's just about coming in and, competing and being in the right headspace when you check into the game. I feel like in my worst part of the season this year was a time where I was really just focused on the wrong things in the game, overcomplicating it. So just refocusing on my headspace this season throughout times and, trying to do whatever it takes for us to win, because that's all that's important at the end of the day.
It is. That's very wise stuff from you, Elijah. We're talking to Elijah Saunders here of the Aztecs basketball team. And my last question for you is, when your college basketball career is all over, said and done, how would you like to be remembered by Aztecs fans?
Man,
that's a deep question, Elijah. Isn't it?
I did put you on the spot a little bit. I apologize for that.
I would say a winner.
There you go.
I would say I'm off to a good start.
Yes, you are.
But someone who just always has a smile on their face. I just love to play this game. I'm blessed, with this opportunity to be at such an amazing school and with such amazing coaches and teammates that, just a winner, someone who values winning more than anything, and someone who just enjoys to play the game.
I don't know what I'm going to do with Skraby over here asking all these deep thought questions, but you answered it very well. Elijah Saunders is with us. I remember that guy, Elijah Saunders. He was on all of those Final Four teams.
There you go.
He was on all.
Perfect. That's exactly what they need to say.
There you go. He was on all of those Final Four teams. Elijah, we talked to some people from Birmingham today. Just get a little scouting report. I'm sure you've seen a lot of film. Sounds like they play a lot of switching defense, some 1-3-1. Offensively, you guys, it's been a little inconsistent. Where are you guys focusing your efforts heading into this game and practice this week?
Yeah, in practice today, we saw a bunch of defenses. We had a lot of live segments where we just attack them differently. They switch defenses throughout the entire game. You might see a 1-3-1, 2-3, man-to-man. They might extend it to the full court, 2-2-1. So it's a lot. But, it's a style that we haven't really seen this year. But, we'll be prepared. We've already come up with ways how we're going to attack each defense, and, whatever's thrown at us, we'll be prepared for.
Well, I tell you one thing, none of us, even the most ardent of Aztec for lifers, and I consider myself to be one of those people, having gone to San Diego State, none of us were prepared for what you guys took us through last year. It was a wild ride. It was about the most fun I've ever had as a fan, and I'm hoping, why not do it again? We really appreciate you coming on the show today. I talked to Richard, the media relations guy, and he said, Elijah is a very well-spoken, well-thought-out young man. And Richard was right.
Yes,
we appreciate having you on the show, Elijah. Good luck this weekend. We will be watching, and we'll look forward to hopefully catching up with you down the road here.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me on.
Absolutely. Very good. Elijah Saunders right there. All right, that doesn't get you ready for tomorrow morning. I don't know what it was. 10:45 tomorrow morning. TNT is the network that is carrying the game tomorrow.
So channel 27 for me.
27 for you. 245 for DirecTV people. Beyond that, I'm not sure. All right, games in progress, NCAA tournament. And then before we say goodbye, we got a big baseball signing that just happened a few moments ago.
Signing.
So I'll give it to you. But at halftime, Gonzaga leads McNeese 48-25. All Zags. They've hit 8 of 11 three-point shots.
Why? All of a sudden they're good?
Well,
they've been
I wouldn't
middling
say-
all year.
No, they got hot. The last 2.5 months, they were good. They got a really bad start, but it's a good coach who knows what to do.
Oh, that's true.
Gonzaga is starting to heat up. 8 of 11 from 3.
That's incredible.
Something the Aztecs can only dream of. Also, halftime, Iowa State, the 2 seed, leads South Dakota State 40-33. So that's a little closer than I think a lot of people expected.
Well, didn't you say Iowa State wasn't the greatest?
I didn't say that.
I thought, where did we
Somebody
hear
else
that?
might have said that.
Was that Sean Paul, maybe?
Nope. I don't think so. I think overall the Big 12 is overrated.
Oh, okay.
And, they're thought to be the greatest conference in basketball history, and I don't know that they are. Oakland still leads Kentucky. 13 minutes left. 14-seeded Golden Grizzlies 49, Kentucky 45. And about to wrap it up is Texas. With a minute to play, they lead Colorado State 53-43. It all fell apart for Colorado State late in the first half when they missed 19 out of 20 shots in one stretch.
Yes.
Oh, was that ugly?
1 for 20.
Oh, my goodness. It was so awful to watch.
That is awful to watch.
The Mountain West Conference will be 1-3 in the tournament.
This is not good, Chris.
I told you it wasn't good, and you were the one rooting against Nevada.
Special interest.
Special interest. All right, here's the baseball signing. J.D. Martinez, formerly the Dodgers, now a Met. 1 year, $12 million. Mets get their man, DH, J.D. Martinez. Drove in over 100 runs last year. The guy can flat out hit. So the Mets add him to their roster. I don't know that makes a dent on the Braves and the Phillies and the NL East, but, the Mets have a lot of money, so they might as well spend some of it and see what they can do.
I think they had $13 million after the Dylan Cease acquirement, as I would say, which
Who's
is not
that?
a word.
The Padres you're talking about?
They had $13 million under the luxury tax. He signed for 12. So it's too close for comfort there.
Oh, you're saying that the Padres should have thought about it?
No, I'm saying that they probably didn't think about it because it would take them too close to the luxury tax, and they don't want to do anything to put them over that luxury tax.
I don't think J.D. Martinez is the right fit.
I agree.
And it doesn't matter anymore because he's not coming here.
That is true.
He's going to be a New York Met.
That is true.
All right. What else we got? We got a couple of minutes left here. Kick some things around.
Well, we got a Skraby show coming up.
Skraby Chronicles.
Skraby Chronicles
coming up next. Do you have a little preview of the Daily Gripe yet?
I don't actually have one today so far, but someone did. Dominic on the chat actually pointed out something really funny. But most of my daily gripes come from me driving or me walking the dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And so yesterday I was walking the dogs and my neighbor came by and he was like, don't tell me about the Padres game through the first 3 innings. And this was game 1. Through the first 3 innings, Padres are leading. Don't tell me. Meanwhile, I had all of the information that Jake Cronenworth glove gate going on in my head. And I'm sitting there like trying not to give away anything. I'm not good at that. I like to just say things. I want to just go for it, but I didn't. And it kind of annoyed me that he did the whole
that annoyed you
fingers in the ears.
You
thing.
don't respect somebody that's trying not to hear a score.
I did respect him because I didn't say anything.
But you respected him against your will.
I should have said, "Oh man, wait till that 8th inning."
Why you're such a hater?
I wouldn't do that though, and I didn't do that, and I wouldn't even do that to you.
I was watching the game on DVR this morning after I got back from my workout. My wife was at her workout while I was watching. I was through 7 innings on the replay.
Okay.
I didn't know the score or anything. My wife comes walking in. Now, I know that at her gym, they've got the game on live. So I knew that she would have the final score when she walked in the door.
Okay.
So from where I was seated on the couch, when I heard the door open, I yelled across, "I'm watching the game. Don't tell me anything." She goes, "Oh, Padres won."
What?
Yeah, she said she didn't hear me accurately.
But she knows you.
That's what I thought.
I
Like,
mean,
she knows
even
that
I know
tape-
that rule.
She knows that I tape games. She knows that she ought to at least look before she leaps.
Wow. What was your reaction?
That didn't matter to me that much. I just buzzed through the last couple of innings. I saw Manny hit the 3-run homer, and I knew it was game over.
There you go.
But yeah, no,
That's
she
pretty
told me
brutal.
a little bit ahead of time. I have made a deal with the fact that since I record games, from time to time, despite my best efforts, I'm going to hear the final score. So I've come to grips with that. I do everything I can to avoid it, but I know it's going to happen. So when it happens, I don't normally get too angry because it's just part of doing business.
Good on you.
Thank you. All right, Skraby Chronicles are coming up next. In 17 seconds, Colorado State season will be over. Texas will advance to the second round of the NCAA tournament. Keep an eye on that Oakland-Kentucky game, though, Skraby. Oakland by 4 with 12 minutes left.
Yes. Kentucky does this a lot in the first round.
Skraby Chronicles. We'll be back tomorrow after the Aztec game. I hope I'm in a good mood. We'll see you at 2 o'clock. Mañana.